Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 43-year-old from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, and he now calls himself Welsh, and is a season ticket holder and a diehard fan of my Cardiff Devils, and just got them inked on his body. For fun, kicked cancer's ass. Winning is fun. But he is best known as a radio broadcaster, but most importantly, the lead guy for the Matt Lease band that is running amok all over Spotify in the UK. But out of the goodness of his heart, offered and delivered the new and fantastic Shed theme song and nearly made my heart pop. Throw me some chocolate, please. Welcome to the Shed, Matt Lease.
Wally, thank you so much for having me. What an absolute pleasure. This is very cool. Great to meet you.
I'm the one that should be thanking you, sir. I get into how we know each other. You reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, love the Shed and love what you're doing. Can I have a crack at making you a theme song?" And boy, oh boy, did you do her.
Well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, as I'm sure you know. So I thought, as much as I love Brothers Osborne, I thought, man, I should offer to make Wally a theme tune, because you may have just gone, "Nah, you're cool, thanks anyway." But you gave me a shot, coach, and I came up for it. I tried my best.
I love it. And the first time I heard it, I was laughing because it's funny, but also like it's also catchy and awesome. And I was like, holy moly, it's exactly what I want. Funny and fun.
It's got a little bit of like 80s sitcom to it,
It
in my
does.
opinion.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I was kind of going for there.
Oh man. So when you sent it to me, and like I get something like that in the real world, and I'm working at a desk all day, and then you get something so fun like that, and it can just change your whole spirit for the day, and you get a shot of energy. And thank you so much, sir.
Oh, hey, and it's cool because it's the same for me. Like, as soon as I finish a project like that, and then I listen back to it first before anybody else hears it, I get a buzz. I get excited too, because I think, oh, damn, it's time to send this to Wally, and now he's going to hear this. And then it's kind of real. Then it's not just a project I made in my shed, because, by the way, I also record in a shed.
That's wicked awesome. And you don't have hockey stuff behind you. You have toys.
There are a lot of toys. There are some placements here of hockey stuff,
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah, it's mostly toys.
a lot of
Massive
Ninja
nerd and
Turtles,
toy
huh?
collectors. Oh yeah, that's my era. The Ninja Turtles was what really kicked off the nerddom for me, and probably the obsession, the FOMO, the kids would say, for the toys and the collectibles, because you think, well, I got to get that set. Do I? Do I really? No, not at all. But I see them and I go, I need that set.
You need it,
Need
but
that
then
set.
you don't open the box. They're all in the boxes.
Now there are some loose up here on stands, but obviously the camera's this way. But mostly, yeah, you don't open them. They're worth more that way, if you can resist
But
it.
when you would have first started, it's like you get a toy, you want to open it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I have the kids
So
get the
when did you
original Star
decide to
Wars
be a
toys.
collector? Like, obviously you're a collector, not a toy player. I
Yeah,
guess
no, exactly. I think I just always, you had them as a kid, because I wasn't a sports kid. I was a obsessed with movies and playing with toys kid. You know what I mean? So those
everybody's into
toys I had
different
growing up,
things.
exactly. And then, but as you get older and you have a little bit more disposable income, you just start buying these things you would have bought as a kid, because you think they're cool. So it's just kind of been a lifelong thing of collecting, and it just keeps going. It's an obsession.
Is it? Well, I got an obsession too. It's called the shed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just that thing. But now I will say, lately the obsession has been more hockey based than toy based. But I've got my ears on a swivel, my eyes on a swivel always for the new toys and stuff. I'm a sucker for it.
Well, I want to stay with our theme song here quick because I
Okay.
can't I can't move on for that. So when you're writing a song and you said, I know you're a country boy and it's going to have that type of theme, how do you start? How did you start doing it? Because it only took you a week.
Yeah, I sort of had an idea in my head, because obviously Two Whales and Hockey Tales with Wally isn't necessarily musical. So it's not something that's like easy to put in. So I'd thought of that ahead of time,
I'll bring
trying to
that
think,
up
how
with
am I
my
going to fit
neighbor
that in?
Holt that he wasn't
Yeah.
thinking musically when he came up with the name.
Well, it's a great name, but it's sort of that thing where, but it also leans its way into country, because country's more about like the storytelling aspect of it, of just like regular people, regular folks. So that sort of gave it a good idea. And I knew I wanted to use, and remember, kids, winning is fun. That was the one thing I knew going in. I definitely wanted to have that as sort of the bridge. But other than that, it was just something that was going to be short and sweet, but would also sum up the podcast.
Well, and people may think I'm crazy about this whole winning is fun thing. And I see people put out there about you only win if you're such an animal and you're whatever and like you got to try so hard. And it's like, yeah, you do. You have to dig down deeper than the other team. But you know what? If you're not having fun doing it, it's a lot harder to dig down deep. It's a lot harder to block that shot for the boys if they don't have
Mm-hmm.
your back and you don't have each other's back and you're not best friends. Um, and then
Yeah.
winning is fun when fun is fun, you know?
And it all plays into each other. And it's similar to almost being in a band, in as much as you are that team where you have to get each other's back, you have to love each other and be brothers with each other, because then you're going to play better and you're going
Yeah.
to try that extra little bit harder during the solo and during whatever. So while it's not sport, it's very similar in as much as you have to love what you're doing to excel at it.
Yeah, you got to have a passion for it. Okay,
Definitely.
sticking with it though, is I also loved the part where you threw in Kincardin.
Yeah, King Carden and Sindir Yuski. I always thought that could be fun to fit into this.
Sanderski! You wouldn't want me to
Exactly.
sing that.
No, I just thought it'd be fun to fit that in. Yeah. And I was trying to play around with just sort of to make sure that it summed up the podcast. You needed to drop in a few things from the podcast. So placement like that and winning is fun was just ways to be able to throw it in there. So I really enjoyed doing it. I'm really proud to hear it on there.
Well, man, it takes everybody to win, and very thankful to you. It's like making me legitimate. I'm not when I recorded the Brothers Osborne, I'm not for everyone. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do any of this. And all I did was play it in my shed
Mm-hmm.
into my headset. And then that's how I put it out there. And now I have a legitimate song. I'm almost
That
legitimate now.
I think you're pretty legitimate. Yeah, that song's so awesome though, and it's so perfect for the theme. So I
Oh,
also didn't want to be like, yo, get rid of that, because I really like it, and I didn't want to be
I
sort of
know.
like
Me too.
replace it. But it's great. So I really do enjoy that song. We were listening to Brothers Osborne while it was being tattered yesterday.
Well, Brothers Osborne, I mean, you know, that their record there, I'm not for everyone. They have that song,
Yeah,
which when I was starting this and I was very nervous and had anxiety about putting myself out there, um, and I'd been on a few teams that didn't want me back and had some hard feelings when I was out of the game. And then when I decided I'm not for everyone, I'm just gonna be me.
yeah,
It it it's been life changing. And then they come out with the flippin' song, "Might as well be me," and I'm like,
yeah,
"Holy moly, you
yeah,
donkeys, stop it! You're hurting my heart."
yeah,
And now, everything's going good. I'm coaching a great team of kids. I have my shed. I have a good real world job. And then they come out with the song, "Who says you can't have everything?" It's like, come on. And then the other one they got is "Nobody's Nobody," and it's so true. I have on a whole bunch of nobodies that nobody knows, and people listen to us.
yeah. So glad to be one of those nobodies. Really proud to be here. Uh,
Hey, well, it's like me when I came back and like I hadn't played in Ontario since I was 17. And
mhm.
I don't even think anybody thought I actually had played hockey because I was just a short, fat guy. And I was fat.
As you always say as much. You always say, that you had your chubby era, shall we call it?
I had a few of them.
We've all had those. I'm in one right now, baby.
After my first knee injury and or surgery in Germany, and I was out for the whole season, but stayed there to show them I was getting better, and they got me the best rehab and all that. Um, I was a
Yeah.
fat, depressed mess, and I was still going to be a hockey player. And I was like, once I get through this and I'm healthy, then I'm going to get in shape. But boy, did I let myself go.
I think you're entitled to that after a career as an athlete, to let yourself go a little bit.
Well, this was while I was still doing it. This was when I was like 24.
Well, each their own.
Yeah. Well, I was ready for the next season. You know, other
That's all that
way,
matters.
but thank you. And that at the
Yeah.
end of
My
the
pleasure.
song, then you throw in there and throw me some chocolate, please.
Yeah.
And like this chocolate thing, I don't it started with Mosey telling me about Mac getting them in Hungary. Then I have Mac on, and he's in
Mm-hmm.
Cardiff. And then the Shed family makes it happen in the old Honey Hole, Cardiff, Wales. And the Twix are going on the ice for Mac. And then the
Mm-hmm.
Sheffield Steelers have Kit Kat get that. We get banned from the arena. Fun is banned. And I heard they're in the Challenge Cup final, folks, and I heard that their players do like chocolate, in fact. And that is a league event, not run by the Steelers. And we are going rogue. And folks, don't forget to have fun. Hockey's supposed to be fun, right?
Absolutely. I love throwing the chocolate. Mosey mentioned on his show there's one guy in Cardiff. Proud to say that's me. I'm the one guy chucking our boy Kit Kats.
And
There's a few
thank you.
bandwagon jumpers from game to game that sort of chuck for once, and I do feel a little bit jealous. But I'm the only one who's consistently doing it every week.
Well,
You know,
and if he wins and he doesn't get a Kit Kat, he's like, "What is this over? Are we not having fun anymore?"
right?
I don't understand. Like, is it because I sponsored Captain Critch that nobody will get behind the Kit Kats anymore?
I don't know, but I got his back on that thing, and I will say though, Kit Kat get that as amazing as it is. The man Mosey himself has changed teams regarding chocolate because he asked me himself. He said, I like Kit Kats, but I'd really love some Reese peanut butter cups. And he said, since fun is banned in Sheffield, they told him, no, man, you can't do peanut butter. So we're going to be switching that up to peanut butter cups, I think.
Yeah, keep him in the package. I don't think anybody get too harmed, right?
Yeah. I mean, Todd will be fine with it. I think you know him, so you can talk to him for me. You know what I mean?
um, well, yeah, and you know what? I'm an honest person. It is what it is. Um, I I did ask Todd to do a pop-up stand, and I he said that wouldn't be really an option, and I said, well, I know it wouldn't be free, and we could do it together and share, and
Mhm.
I'd pay you, and I didn't get a response, so I ended up moving on, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's kind of like your hockey career, right? It's like, well, if I can't do it here, I want to do it somewhere else. And then
Yep.
I went to Captain Critch in the Storm, and I haven't even paid my whole bill yet. And the final day for the raffle is right now at aleshockeytales.com. But how hockey this is
Mm.
one of the Shed family, Callum Phillips, my boy, who likes to buy my jerseys for too much money.
Mhm.
He offered to help me and says, what do you need? How much more money do you owe? And he's willing to give the Shed a signed Josh Batch game worn jersey to raffle off to help me pay my Manchester Storm bill.
That's great news.
Isn't
I'm
that
glad to hear
hockey?
that. Even as a Cardiff fan, that's nice to hear, And at least you're
That's
not
my
sponsoring
family.
someone
That's
at
my hockey family.
and at least you're not sponsoring someone at Sheffield, right? I'm just saying.
Right. And Captain Critch is like playing in the big blue tent, and they're the underdogs with the low budget. And
Yep.
I mean, the way that team's got behind me in the Shed is wild. I mean, they're putting me up on the big screen. They got Jake, the marketing or Shed director, marketing of
Mhm.
whatever I'm trying to say. They have that up on the big screen for the kid's birthday, and it means the world to him, and it means the world to me, you know?
Definitely. It's cool to see that on the jersey. That's really awesome to see the podcast logo, even if it's on a Storm player.
Right? I know, and fun is fun.
Absolutely.
But I am still a Cardiff Devil, and I hope everybody knows that. And I hope that some Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats get thrown for Mosey, right?
That's right. But not too many because I'll get a little jealous. You know what I mean?
I want more.
Fair enough.
I like pushing the envelope.
Yes.
So you just got a Cardiff Devils tattoo.
I did literally just yesterday. Um,
Tattoos are they're a hot topic in the Shed because there's one of me on a guy in Cardiff, which is interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. And Sarah in Sheffield got a two ales and hockey tails tattoo of like beers and hockey sticks, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really cool to see people that dedicated, to anything like that. So, and that's why I wanted to get the Devil's tattoo to show, I'm not part of the team, but I can be part of the community. I can show some dedication to it too, right? So,
Yeah.
and boy,
So it's the
did
new
it hurt
logo, eh?
like a son of a. Yeah, I wanted to be controversial. I love that at the time they got announced, it was like, this is going to ruin the franchise. I remember it was the summer and I literally saw somebody tweet Christmas was ruined because his kid didn't want devil stuff. Uh, Well, as somebody who's there at every Devils home game, let me tell you, the community is just fine with the new logo. It's everywhere. All the merch sells out, and they just won like 14 out of 15 or whatever it was. So I think the logo did just fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, and the jerseys look good.
They look
It's weird.
great.
It's weird for me though, right? Because my memories are with the old logo, and then I
Sure.
see a team with a different logo, and it's
Yeah.
weird for me. And then
Hmm.
and anyways,
It makes
um,
sense.
well, it's different when they change their logo and it looks totally different, but
Hmm.
it's the same people and it's the same town and it's the same barn, right?
That's right.
Um, when did you become a Devils fan?
For the last, so I lived, obviously, I grew up in Canada, but moved back to Wales. So we've been back, I've been back 10, 15 years. We used to go to random Devils games here and there. But
Did
you
you see my
really,
fat ass play?
not as recent as that, only the last few years. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean it was only the last few years we started to go. And then this is our first full season as a season ticket holder. But you just kind of fall in love with everything about it. And it's kind of like that I keep using the word community, but that's almost like the feel and like a family. You get to say hey to the players, and you can sit next to a Sheffield fan, the horror, but you can sit next to a Sheffield fan and you probably won't get in a fight. And it's a taste of home for people who grew up in Canada, is the ice hockey vibe, right?
I couldn't agree more. And it is the Cardiff Devils. I mean, that is why I fell in love with hockey so much again when I went there. Was it was like a family, and it wasn't just the
Mhm.
players, it was the staff around the team, it was the fans in the big blue tent at the bar after the games. It was, you walking around town and people recognize you, they come up and say hi, a quick chat, and
Yeah.
it is like a hockey family.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really, really cool to be a part of. And that's part of the reason the tattoo's there too. It's kind of showing my pride in being part of that family, quote unquote. It's really cool. We really enjoy it, especially when they win, because winning is fun. But we've never left the game early because the boys are losing. That's not the type of fans we are. We're there till the end of the game every time. We don't quit on the team.
And that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, I hate seeing people walk out. My wife won't let me
Oh,
say things, but I want to, it's just so frustrating when like 6 minutes left, 10 minutes left, and they're getting up to leave. And it's like, it takes less than a second to score a goal, baby. Where you sit back down.
well, and for and I couldn't agree more. And you support your team right till the end, and that
That's
brings
right.
up my U13 boys, as I got to talk about them because love those kids. Um, we had one of those games. We were down 3-0 to Walkerton, who was 3-0 in the playoffs, and they're the other top team. And we're down 3-0 with 6 minutes left. I
Yeah.
got booted from the game again. I don't know what I did, but anywho, I go out to the lobby and I'm standing there like, pacing. And then I watch my boys just turn it right up, and they score 3 goals in 4 minutes. We don't even have to pull the goalie when we're down 3-0 with 6 minutes left. We tie it up, we go into overtime, and the horse pulls it out, scores his hat trick goal. And man, it was a scene. And it's like, if anybody walked out of here because they thought we were going to lose, you just missed one of the most magical moments in hockey.
That's right. Yeah, amazing. That's like the goosebump moments of hockey, isn't it? And you were outside because you had maybe we would call it a strop here in Wales. You might have had a bit of a strop and
A
then got asked to
strop.
kindly leave the room. Is that basically what happened?
I got asked to kindly leave.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
Yeah. Well, the linesman was standing there right at our bench, and it was offside. And I was like, that's offside. And he's like, don't tell me how to ref. I won't tell you how to coach. And I was like, okay, but it's still offside.
Yeah.
And then the ref comes flying out of nowhere and says, you go home. I was like, what? I'm just telling you the truth. Be better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's so hard not to yell at refs. And as you know, I've had a beef with refs recently. You probably have that for us to get to later. But
Well,
like it's hard not to
I
shout
don't think,
sometimes.
I don't, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I was just telling them the truth. And I mean, I didn't know they
Yeah.
were that sensitive. I didn't swear, I didn't yell, but I actually thought me getting kicked out spurred the boys on. They really
Yeah, I think it
rallied.
did. Definitely. They did that for you. Like a
You should
Dead
have
Poet
seen them.
Society
You should have
moment.
seen the group hug when they came off, man. I see my team celebrate, and they come down the hallway to the lobby area where I had been kicked out to, I just opened the door and we had this big, huge team hug, and it was one of the most special moments I've had.
And I think as a fan who doesn't play hockey, that's one of the beautiful parts about watching hockey is seeing these guys on the ice come together as a team and seeing like the photos of them when they're not playing hockey, but when they're just kind of all hugging on each other and they're having drinks together. It's almost like an envy that you feel that these guys are a part of something really special when it's a team that's really cooking together and they really get along.
It's so true. And it's like starting this. There are so many pictures I did not have and that I've gotten sent through. I have on one of my old fellas, and they send pictures of us together that I didn't
Yeah.
have. And it's like, oh man, and it brings you right back in time.
Yeah, and I still see Wally jerseys at the Vindico.
Is that true?
So yeah. There's you see the old school Devils ones, you see the two Ales jerseys, of course. So
That's awesome.
the
That's
love is
hockey,
still
baby.
there. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And I did see that my music maker man did buy tickets for my raffle for my two ales and hockey tails jersey. That's going to
Yeah,
be one tomorrow.
two sets. And just so anybody who local, if I know you and you win this, I'm basically going to bully you into giving me this jersey, just so you're aware. It's out there now. I've made it official, so now I can't get in trouble for it later because I said it was going to happen.
Well,
But
it's pretty neat though. It's like Adam Brewer, shed guy, he's won two of the jerseys. And the second one he won, he gave to Rich Bateman when they finish the bike ride to raise money for him, and then they get to the Sheffield Arena, and he gives the guy a two L's and hockey tails jersey. And for
yeah,
me watching this shit over here, man, it's like, how am I supposed to handle this?
yeah. It's like the Grinch heart growing three sizes, right?
Well, and then that guy bought another 20 tickets this time, and he's already
Yeah.
won twice and gave one away. And he's like, I'm like, man, you are really supporting me.
Yeah,
What a
he's
team.
probably going to win again too, And as someone who's never won shirt off his back or anything at the arena, that kind of bugs me a little bit. You
Hey,
always seem to be the same people winning, and you're like, how'd this guy win another one?
you know
But hey,
what? When these happen, I do cheer for the people that bought the most tickets because they gave the most support.
yeah, I mean, I should just walk up to Todd and hand him like $50 a season and just stop buying the shirt off his backs because I'm never winning one of these things, right?
Hey, if you don't believe it, it won't happen.
That's a good point.
So we haven't even talked about. Actually, let's talk about the ref situation first. Um,
Okay.
we were trying to get the chocolate on the international stage. Team Great Britain's playing in my old honey hole, Cardiff, Wales. Bunch of shed guys are on that team. The captain of the Storm, Critch, is running amok. Mosey, and you threw Evan Mosey a Kit Kat when Team Great Britain ran amok, eh?
Yeah, they scored like 11 goals, man. They earned this Kit Kat, right? So
Yeah.
I'm my season ticket is easy for a chocolate throw. So there's no injury for anyone. I'm nice and close. I can always land it right on the blue line.
You guys got to think about that, folks, when you're buying your season tickets. Chocolate's important.
Winning is fun and chocolate is fun. It's important to think about these things. I always land it right on the blue line. I always wait till after the man of the match photo because he kind of skates that way. Maybe because he knows I'm chucking him some chocolate. So throw the Kit Kat, and this dude in the black and white stripes, man, just turns around, does like a surprised face, looks at the ground, and says, "For me," to which I shouted, "That's not for you." He picks it up, made like a heart with his hands at me,
No, he
ripped
didn't.
it open. He did, and just started chewing it right in front of me, open mouth, staring at me. And I think he was chewing this thing when he shook Mosey's hand. And I was just disgusted, flabbergasted. One of the worst things I've ever seen a referee do.
I I would, yeah. I would get a hard time not getting kicked out of that game too by a ref.
Yeah. I couldn't believe my wife was laughing at me hysterically because she couldn't believe how upset I was about it. And I'm like, that's Mosey's Kit Kat. The ref can't just take that. He didn't earn that. And she's like, he took your chocolate. It's just a chocolate bar. It's funny. I'm like, it's not funny.
No,
This is
Mosey didn't get his
horrendous.
chocolate bar. Did
Right now,
Mosey see the ref do it?
no, he didn't.
Oh,
So then
so
I'm
he
like,
doesn't even know.
no, Mosey thinks I dissed him, right? I'm sure Mosey doesn't actually care what a random season ticket holder thinks,
He
but I'm the
absolutely
chocolate guy.
does. He
So I don't want him
absolutely
to
does.
I don't want him to think that like, no chocolate today, even though you guys won by 11, you know? So I did finally, there was a charity event. I did get to say hello to Mosey and explain to him, I wasn't dissing you, man. The ref took your chocolate bar. We talked about it. Mosey had some opinions, which are no business of the public. But long story short, that ref stole from me, stole from Mosey, and stole from the game of hockey, in my opinion.
I agree. He didn't earn it.
No.
Can't win or lose as a ref, but there are a bunch of shed guys that are refs, and I do enjoy the crew of refs in the UK, but they wouldn't have been the
Yeah.
ones at the international event stealing chocolate.
No, no, no. Part of the season ticket advantages, you do recognize even the refs and things like that. It wasn't one of our refs, I'm proud to say, you know.
Yeah, they wouldn't do
I,
that. They're better than that. They know when they earn it, right?
I'd like to think they know better. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they'd have to come to the shed and tell us what they want.
That's right. And then we can
I've
discuss
never
it, but
got
I don't know.
chocolate thrown on the ice for a ref before. Would that be something?
I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it, to be honest with
I
you,
don't think
but I
anybody would
could
want
try.
to.
No.
Refs are funny though. Like they are the only reason hockey can be played, and I've seen it firsthand here in minor hockey. We've had games canceled because they can't find refs,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because they sign up, and I'd say it takes a lot of courage to be a ref. You can't win
Oh,
or
definitely.
lose. All you can do is piss people off, and you know
Yep.
what? They always pissed me off too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm happy to say that I boo them during the game, but
So are
once the
you what?
game's
You
over,
blew them?
whoa, 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 whoa.
Is
That
that
was
what you
never.
said?
No, that's definitely not what I said. That was never proven. It wouldn't hold up in a court of law. What I said was I will gladly boo them during the
Oh,
game,
boo.
but it's kind of like a pantomime. Once the game's over, then it's over. It was just a game, but during the game, fair play for everyone, I think.
Yeah, you're cheering. You're into it.
Cheering, I'm booing. I'm going to admit too that sometimes I do that really stupid thing of I have yelled shoot in my life. I just want to take this moment to apologize to yourself and any other hockey players that are listening. I'm one of the dudes that's once or twice yelled shoot.
Is
So
that right?
it just
You
sometimes it
got to
just comes
remember
out of
your
you.
background of growing up being the movie and toy guy, and the hockey guys were growing up trying to figure out when to
Of
shoot.
course. Listen, every time I say it, every time it comes out of my mouth, I feel like a jerk. Okay. I'm not defending the behavior. Sometimes you do stupid things more than once and you go, yeah, great. Cause like that player wasn't thinking about shooting until me, chubby
Right.
guy eating a Kit Kat, said shoot. And he went, oh yeah, that's great advice. That's
I
great advice. Thank you.
You know what though? There were times where I would come to the bench and the coach or even a general manager in Germany when I was playing with my hero growing up, that I wore number 10 because of, and he was my line mate. And I just happened to not shoot that much when I was on his line because I really wanted him to score. And I remember a couple times coming to the bench, and man, oh man, the GM was on the bench, and he let me know that I was supposed to shoot. And it was interesting because never really started shooting until they split us up.
Yeah. It's just, I guess it's just one of those things, right? Like there's no, as a fan, it's easy to fall into that. What I hate seeing is the boys didn't try today. Boys didn't try today. I'm never that type of fan. That drives me crazy because it's like these guys dedicate their whole life to hockey, and you think that today they were like, it's all right if we lose. Who cares? It's definitely not what it is. But some of the
uh,
Cardiff fans are they get so butthurt and they're so like,
yeah.
I don't know,
And it's like,
entitled.
and yeah, it's like, oh, we paid our money to come watch you and you didn't try. And it's
Yeah,
like, actually, this is our job and we're trying to win and score goals and do
yeah, of
well so
course.
we can keep doing this and make more money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's wild when you see the fans who kind of treat it like that. Always kind of makes me laugh.
Yeah, and nobody in the UK league is playing because they're going to be retired and living on the lake when they are done. They are going to struggle and they're going to have to join the real world at an age that's
Yep.
not very comfortable to do. And they're not going to have a big nest egg of money. And they're doing it because they love hockey and they're
That's right.
doing it for the love. And when you go cheer them on, maybe you should try and support them, right?
That's right. And I always think of like there's the sacrifice made, which is like the birthdays, the Christmases, the things that you miss, the dance recitals that you don't get to be a part of because you're over in the UK playing hockey, which is okay. It's amazing. It's lucky you get to play hockey for a living, but you're also missing a lot of stuff. So I try to keep that in mind before I yell things like shoot.
Right. And it is very true. You do miss a lot when like I was gone for 14 years if you count
Yeah.
university. And you miss a lot of family stuff. But what's neat for me now with the shed is I'm right back into hockey. I get to see all my friends around the world. But I also don't miss anything. And I'm here for it all. And I still get to be a hockey guy, but also dad guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's living. Who says you can't have everything? The real dream would be
Exactly.
though that someone someday would actually like pay me money to do this, right?
That's the
Because
dream,
it,
isn't it?
it seems like I like it.
Yeah, and the shows are great. You're pretty good at it too. So I hope long it continues. So we just need to make it a multi-million-dollar thing, and then
Yeah.
then
Just need a
everybody's
big
laughing.
money guy, folks. I just have my director of shed marketing in Manchester, chucking the chocolate, right? That's all we got here, folks. He's doing a great job. Keep it up, Jake. Okay, we got to get into this then. So, are you saying you were born in Wales, moved to Canada, and then came back?
That's right. At the age of 10, I moved from Cardiff essentially to the KW. Went to high school, did all that sort of thing. Spent 20 years there.
What school
Hey,
in KW did you go to?
CHCI, Cameron Heights.
Yeah, like I'm from Elmira. You know where that is, right?
Of course, yeah, yeah. I ring announced many a wrestling show in Elmira, so good fun.
Sorry,
Um,
was that now?
yeah, we used to do like pro wrestling shows, and we go around all like those sort of towns around Elmira and all that, and do them at like the workman's. We call them workman clubs here, but the different centers and stuff. It was a blast in
That
amongst doing music.
that sounds fun. I didn't
Oh,
know
it's
that was
awesome.
happening in my hometown.
Yeah, they're doing it in bars to like crowds of like 200 people. It's pretty exciting stuff, but it was
We
great
we
fun.
didn't have a bar that could fit 200 people. We had the Central Tavern.
We may have been there too, but yeah, we used to go
I
around
used to run
all of
amok there
Ontario.
though.
Yeah. And we said then when it was music, we played tons of gigs all over Southern Ontario. You'd go to all those really cool, unique bars and stuff and play for a Friday or Saturday night or whatever. Really cool to do.
So
Great fun.
you started up like a high school garage band then, and then started doing a tour around Ontario.
Essentially, that was exactly what it was. We had a bunch of musician buddies in high school, and then we all did our own projects. But then once we left high school, we started making music together. We made a record together, which is the hardest thing I've ever done, maybe. But we just started making music together. KW or maybe all of Ontario has such a great music scene. So many awesome musicians that you just get to throw together this really cool band of a bunch of guys you barely know, and then maybe like becoming a new team. Before you know it, you're playing in front of a crowd of literally dozens of people, and you're really living the dream, man.
Yeah, I yeah, that's cool. And we should shout out Boston Levi, former Cardiff Devil, that is running amok all over Ontario and elsewhere now, right?
Yeah, love
Hmm.
Ontario. Love to visit. We were there in July. Really cool to be able to go back and visit.
Yeah. So then you do end up moving back, but that's interesting how close you were to Elmira. So did you see all the horse and buggies then with my Mennonite fellas?
Of course, yeah. We used to do school visits when we were at Cameron. Obviously, they'd go out to Elmira to like the Mennonite farms, right? And you'd kind of walk around and do like a little mini tour, take home some maple syrup, the whole thing, the whole experience.
Yeah, so those are my roots. That's what I'm about is like all my fellows growing up, for the most part, they were Mennonite heritage. Their parents weren't like old school horse and buggy, but like that was their religion and their background. And they were big old boys I grew up with, and we dominated everybody.
It's that farm strength, huh?
Oh, and they got it. They
Yeah,
way stronger than me.
yeah. Crazy small world though to think how close when you really
It
think about it.
is.
When I started listening and realized that where you were based, it's like, wow, I grew up right around there.
I know that is weird. And now you're in
Yeah,
the old honey hole again,
yeah. There you are.
and you're a Devils fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, weird stuff, eh? So the Matt Lease band nowadays, they're not the KW fellas. You got Welsh fellas now?
Well, so essentially, I play solo here in the UK, and the band are still in KW. So we recorded our album almost. We started many years ago in the studio together, but we essentially record digitally. I record here in the shed, they record in their sheds. It all gets mixed together and mastered, and then we release a record, and it sounds like we were all playing together in the same room. So it's the
That's
magic of
really
technology.
awesome, man. Yeah, and that's how
Yeah,
you make it such a smaller world is technology, like what we're doing here now.
yeah,
That's really cool that you can keep the band together.
yeah. It's strictly the digital world that lets us do that. I remember my drummer producer Wayne used to literally burn things to a CD for me, so I could go home and listen to what we did that day, and then we'd go back and do it again. Now it's all digital. There's websites. We just drop the files, share them, and then you get to mix the song. And there's musicians that have played on my album that I've never met in person. So it's just interesting that you're able to do that now. When back in the day, like I said, it was a bus ride over to this guy's house to record his guitar takes and then burn that to a CD, take it to the other, terrible. I sound like an old man now. Back in my day,
Well,
but
but it's
it was
true.
a
It's
different
like when
world.
I went to Germany, man, like it was 2007, and I mean there wasn't a lot of technology going on. The one thing I was told to have when I went over was a sling box, which hooked up to my parents' cable in Canada, and I could change the channel on their TV from over in Germany. And that was like the most important thing to me to stay connected to home. But there weren't that many options to like stay in contact with people. Like there weren't even smartphones to FaceTime. I was using an old blue Nokia phone, you know?
Yeah, and probably buying calling cards, right? I remember those days.
Oh, it was just
Uh,
like a
pe-
prepaid. You'd put 20 euros on at a time and not really use them.
yeah, 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 yeah. People probably listening to this have no idea the concept of what we're even talking about.
Well, now with the FaceTime, it does. It keeps the world so connected, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's cool. You guys still have the band going. So how do you write songs? How do you come up? Like I listened to a couple of your jams before we came on here, and man, they're good.
Oh, thank you. It's just I don't it's just sort of comes out of me, which sounds really odd, but I've always just had that musical that lean towards the love of music and maybe an understanding of it. I can hear a song and sort of break down what key it's in and what chords they're playing and things like that. And
I
I
know
just kind of have
nothing
to
about that.
well, I just have to kind of let it happen. What's hard for me, obviously, living in the real world, is finding the time to chalk it out. Because when you're creating music and any sort of art, you can't sort of think Wednesday at 3 o'clock I'm going to make art. You just have to sort of get on that wave when it hits you and when it happens. So mostly, I just have to let it sort of happen, which I know is like a non-answer. But I kind of get the nugget of the idea in my head. Wally's theme song, kind of a country vibe to it, and then I just kind of play around with either the keyboard or the guitar, and just kind of feel my way around it until it starts to feel nice, until
So
it
you
starts to feel
start
right.
with the keyboard and the guitar, not writing words on a paper.
I've done it both ways. Some of the songs were like complete lyrics before we ever had music for them. So it's never the same twice, but lately a lot of the stuff I do starts with just kind of playing around on a piano or a keyboard just to sort of get the structure of the idea down and then go back and sort of fill in all the rest of it. But again, sometimes it's the lyrics first and you kind of have to figure out how to fit those into a song. Um,
Yeah, I never had the music bone, but I can dance. I don't know if you knew that. I'm a fantastic dancer.
no, I've listened to a long time and I didn't know you could dance. You've kept that secret.
Well, people know. I mean,
People
I,
know.
the weddings I've been at, they know.
Well, I mean, I know about the dance with where you started with a Taz suit on. I've heard about that dance.
Mm, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I've done some dancing in my day. I haven't done it in a while though.
Yeah.
Might pull something nowadays because I wasn't as talented as I would work really hard on the dance floor, and bring a lot of enthusiasm.
Hard work's important too, right? Sometimes it makes up for other things. You know,
And you gotta, kind of let yourself go to have fun.
that's right.
People
Definitely.
love when I attempt the worm.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I bet they do.
Okay. So I guess when the type of music you sing, what would that be classified as? Because it's almost had a sound like my childhood and the music being played back then.
I think that's what it is for me too. It's the song, the styles that we would say sort of, oh, they don't make them like that anymore. So we used to
Yeah.
describe it. It's a bad word to describe it. We used to describe it as grimy. Like it's sort of like rough around the edges, a little bit of rock, a little bit of punk to it. But there's also some stuff that's very poppy because I grew up not only on rock and roll music and stuff, but I grew up on stuff like New Kids on the Block, right? And cheesy pop songs with a catchy hook. And I think our most important thing is never want two songs to really sound the same. We want to have a different style and be able to do all sort of stuff because some songs are different to each other. Some songs you write and it's a punk song. Another song you write and it's a country song. You just have to sort of you don't want to stay inside a zone and have every song sound the same like so many bands. Not that I'm taking a dig at anyone, but you know, they're sort of cookie cutter, right? And we didn't want to be that way. So everything's got its own little bit of style. And what's great about digital is we can go and find a great harmonica player, or we can find someone who plays a really specific style of keyboard if that's what we think that song needs. So it's a lot easier than the old days, but it's great. It's really awesome. And I never get over getting that email from my producer with the word final in the email because it means the song's done. because obviously by that point I've heard it 100 times. But I still get that excited moment where I get to listen back to it for the first time, kind of in here in the shed before anybody else hears it. Sometimes there are tears, there are always goosebumps, and it's not from like an ego point. It's just from a pride of like, I made this, and it started with me and this crappy out-of-tune guitar in my shed, and now it's a fully fledged rock song. Guys from 3 different countries played on it, and now people can listen to it on Spotify, it's really cool to experience that way.
Yeah, really hit home there. It's like starting this, and I have pigs on, and he was in Switzerland at the time, I believe, and like we're talking about our time in Cardiff, and then like there's a time I have Mosey on, Mac in Denmark, Jake in Manchester,
Yep.
and like all the different options you can do from just standing here in my shed talking into my work computer.
Yeah, and it's really great to hear all the different stories and the different people you talk to. And from a non-athlete, there's so many things you can pick up from, like the lifestyle and like the hard work, and winning is fun, but you got to earn it. Like that's not just sports. Like somebody like me can take that into my day-to-day life. And if it's a day where I'm really sort of fed up at work, I can sort of go like, well, sometimes you just gotta, sometimes it's the third period, you're tired, you're hurt, you just got to keep going. Maybe that's cheesy, but when you're having those days, it helps you get through that. So I learn lessons from all these talks too, even though I'm not an athlete.
Well, I learn from everybody I talk to on here, and
Yeah.
it's fun. But yeah, I agree though. The things I learned in hockey, um, when I first started in the real world, I just went to work and did the job, and I was a fourth liner, and just played the role and did what I needed to do and learned what they were teaching me. And then, you work your way up, and then eventually now, like I have a team, and then, I had to make some roster shakeups to it. And then all of a sudden you get a team that it's like, holy moly, I got like old school work ethic, good people that are helping each other. And it's like, holy moly. So all this is ticking along fine. So now I can go to the shed on lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's nice that you're able to keep those going, and I admire that about your energy on the show, is that you've kept that positive vibe. I know you don't like nice things being said, right? But somebody who lived their dream and played hockey for a living has every right to sort of turn into a bitter old son of a bitch, And I'm sure some do, man. But like you've got such a positive outlook and a positive atmosphere about you. It's really great to hear these shows. And to hear you talking to people who are still playing, people who did play, and talking to anyone, like some random musician from Wales. Like it's really, really cool to be able to listen to. But I won't be able to listen to this one because I'll be afraid to just sound like a jerk. So I won't want to listen to it. But I look
You're
forward to
not
all
going
the
to
other
listen to
episodes.
this?
I think it'll just kind of, I don't listen to myself on the radio either because I don't know what it is about it. I just kind of hear myself and I get kind of, I don't know, insecure about it.
I agree. I always hated listening to myself. I always hated listening to myself talk. Thought that it's stupid voice. And now when I'm doing this, I laugh when I re-listen to the episode, and it is cool that it's out on Spotify, and I know people are listening.
Yeah.
And but like listening to the laughter and guys having fun, it's like when you say how positive I was, it's like, well, you should have seen me when I first came back from Cardiff. I wasn't so positive, and it
Yeah.
took me a long time to find the positivity again.
But I also like that you're not afraid to admit that either, right? You don't try to put on that face. Like you let yourself get emotional, you let yourself get upset. It's vulnerable, but I think that's probably what people like about you, man. What they like about the show is that you're open to
Stop
that.
it.
Just being honest, my brother.
Move on. Well, who's
All
your
right.
favorite player?
Wow. Who's my favorite? Like, are we talking devil, or are we
I
talking
said, who's your favorite player?
who's my favorite player? Well, I don't want to be like typical or the same old answer, but as soon as you said that, the name that came to my mind is the one and only Wayne Gretzky. Uh, it's just the overall performance stats of everything that he did. Not only was he a great scorer, he was great with the assists as well. And he's just kind of a legend. And here, especially in the UK, for people who don't know hockey, you could bring up Gretzky and they're going to know who you're talking about, right?
Well, he's yeah, and like for me, I always say to be the best, you have to win. Like hockey isn't about who leads the league in scoring. Hockey is about what team wins the trophy.
Yeah.
And he did that a lot of times
Yeah, absolutely.
and led the league in scoring.
Absolutely. And he's obviously an absolute legend. There's so many players that you admire, but Gretzky's always the one that I go back to. Like, and I know it's probably like a token answer, right? But like that's the truth. You know, when I first think of it, it's
Well, and
Gretzky.
that's our
Even his appearance
childhood
in that
too,
Mighty
right?
Ducks movie. Yeah, of course.
But small world for you then. Fun fact is his dad was my roller hockey coach.
Mr. Gretzky, Papa
Walter.
Gretzky, Walter
Walter.
Gretzky. Yeah, I remember they used to do the road hockey tournament. Was that what it was? The Walter Gretzky road hockey tournament
Well,
every
I went to Vegas with him, and
summer. It was like a Walter Gretzky tournament.
yeah, they still got a bunch of Walter Gretzky stuff that goes on. But yeah, we went to Vegas with a loaded roller hockey team, and really had fun.
Because hockey is fun.
Yeah, roller hockey's fun too. A lot more relaxed vibe than people around ice. But
Yeah.
okay, moving on. You beat cancer. Winning is fun.
Winning is fun, definitely. You know, and the reason I bring it up to people is because I think it's important for people to know that like there is another side to that. Because like somebody just got diagnosed or somebody just found out they're sick, and that's a scary time. So I like to share that I got through it. It was a hard third period. You know what I mean? It was a hard fought battle, but you get through it and you come through the other side and you have a new appreciation for like the everyday things, like a nice cup of coffee and a cheeseburger, you know?
You
So
start seeing the positives in life instead of the negatives. That a lot of people see the negatives than the
yeah, yeah,
positives.
definitely. And you just sort of have to, I still have days where I see the negative, but as an overall, it's made me more positive and appreciative because there was a time, okay, now I was never terminal. I was never, you know, sort of in the real red zone, but there was a time where I didn't know if I would survive or not. And that's a tough place to be. And you kind of just have to keep getting up every day and just keep moving forward no matter what, you know. So it's sort of like you're either going to win or you're going to lose, but you got to sort of just get up and play. So you take a lot of that from the hockey atmosphere as well, the hockey lifestyle, in that you get knocked down, you get back up, you keep trying, you get back up. So I'm open about it. A lot of people aren't. I'm open about it, like I said, more for anybody else going through that journey so they can see, hey, I came through it, so they can too, you know. Plus, if I can curse, cancer's a bitch. So you know what I mean. If kick to the curb, we dropped gloves. He didn't have it in the tank. I did, and the rest is history, I suppose. You know.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, when it, yeah, and not everybody, and there are people that can try as hard as they want. It's not going to change it, and it is a bitch, and it's a tough thing in the world.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But you either lay down and give up on it, or you just keep pushing. It's
Well,
your choice to make.
it's the same with anything in life, right?
Absolutely.
I got knocked down lots of times. I had to get back up.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, you know, if you're not getting knocked down a couple of times, you're not living. Maybe not with cancer, but I'm just saying, if you haven't been challenged and tossed around a little bit, have you really experienced something? Because coming through that other side after the challenge is what really feels rewarding and really feels magical, right?
Well, and that's interesting too, is like when you think about like a hockey career, it's like those guys that were highly touted as kids and they're always the guys, and then they're in the World Juniors, and then they get drafted to the NHL high, and then they go make the NHL, and then they give them millions of dollars, and then their hockey career is over, they can do whatever the hell they want. Where the shed guys, the guys I talked to on here, and the reason I started this podcast was to show that there's a lot more hockey out there than the NHL superstars. And we don't have that path, and we get knocked down, and we are trying as hard as anybody else, and things don't go that smooth. But you can look at it as getting knocked down, or you can look at it as a wild adventure that you get to go around Europe and play in all these cool places that people don't know about and meet all these different people. And you, when I got back, I did not appreciate my career. Those couple years where I was having to go, I didn't think I'd really done much. But now when I look back on it with the, the friends I made, the people I met, um, the teams I got to play for, the trophies I won, then you're like, man, you know what? I didn't suck that bad.
Like I said, man, I still see people wearing your jersey at the Devils games, you know? So I imagine that's got to feel pretty special, and well
Yeah.
deserved, I think. Yeah.
Yep. No, I actually did hear a rumor that there's a couple still in the Bietigheim rink, which means a lot too, the way
Yeah.
things ended there.
Because they kind of asked you to leave. Well, screw those guys, right?
Right. And now they're in last.
There you go.
So they went from the first, they won the championship, went to the first league, played there a couple years, and then got relegated last year back to the second league. So they're supposed to be like, they should be a top team in that league. And they're in last place and facing relegation to go to the third league now.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have asked you to leave all those years ago, huh?
Karma's a bitch. But
Absolutely.
what's interesting as well, the guys I played with were still there. Justin Kelly, Renee Schoofs, they won a bunch more championships with guys I'd played with. And now all of those guys are gone. And, well, things aren't going so well.
No.
That when we talked about the battle and cancer, one of your poster picks brought to you by Freeman Designs, folks. Lee Freeman, check him out. But you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
And you're giving a hand gesture.
That's right.
I feel like I've seen that before.
It's the Too Sweet from, I don't know if you're a wrestling guy, but from the NWO back in, the old school days of wrestling. That's called the Too Sweet. So it was just sort of one of those. I was trying to show that I was still brave and strong, even though I was probably feckin' terrified. So you throw the Too Sweet up, it's just one of those things. It makes you feel strong, I think.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I used to flex for the boys in the locker room naked,
There you go. See, I probably wouldn't have done that in the hospital. Probably wouldn't have gone well. But it's for each their own, like we said.
The guys loved it in the locker room when I would flex naked. I did a lot of flexing. I'd say, "Do you want to buy some or try some?"
And the Thor's hammer and made an appearance as well. There's been some times. That's what we wish, Mr. Ollie, who's doing the documentaries, that's the kind of footage we want, baby. We want to see the Thor's hammers and the naked dances. Let's see that footage.
I don't think they can make a documentary of what Deese and I were doing back in the day. Things got carried away, and that was for the boys only.
Yeah, that's probably for the best for everyone, huh?
They couldn't have made a documentary of my pregame speeches. It was quite the time to be alive. And that's, we were just living and we were just being ourselves and trying to help the boys win. And then to think of how many people have talked about those stories is so
yeah. Yeah.
Because we were just playing the game and we both didn't play the game. We were just trying to help any way we could.
Yeah. It must be wild. Not to turn it on an interview for you, but like there's moments where you're probably in that locker room getting ready and you hear people like chanting the team's name and chanting and getting you guys riled up. That must be an absolutely incredible experience. As a musician who gets people clap at the end of a song and you get that sort of buzz, it must be incredible to feel that support from the crowd.
Honestly, in the big blue tent, did you go there?
No, never. It was before my time.
Oh man, the big blue tent. So we start the season and the arena's not packed. It was there. The fans had kind of gone away the year before, and then we start running amok after a month or two of that year. 2 months in, I think we start running amok, going on win streaks, and just having a go. And every game in the big blue tent, man, we would get it in the other team's zone and be cycling and mucking it up, and guys would be fighting. And I'd never heard such a loud arena, really. But before the game, you'd sit in the room and you could hear the feet stomping, the music going, everybody just losing their minds. And we're still sitting in the locker room and like everybody's looking at each other like, oh, it's go time.
Yeah, and that obviously must help you find an extra level, right? That next level, if you're feeling a bit tired, a bit hurt that day.
Means so much to having the extra juice in a game. You can go to one of those big empty barns, and man, is it hard to play with the same intensity as a packed barn.
Yeah, yeah, because it riles us up just as the fans when the crowd's really going for it. So it really must bring the players, and sometimes you do see that extra little bit in the players, and it's you feel like it's because the crowd's going crazy for them.
Well, and momentum's a thing in hockey. Once you get rolling, and the people get behind you, so that's why they should try and get behind you even when things aren't going well, because maybe then it'll give you the shot of life.
Absolutely, that's why you don't leave games early, people.
That's right.
And if I see you leaving early, no, I am judging you.
Yeah, so are the players.
Absolutely.
So another poster pick. You are getting a photo with Mosey on the ice, which small world on the big screen behind you. You may not notice something like this, but it says warming up with the Red Dragon Group, who is another part of the Shed family that sponsored our website. That's how we have a website, folks. The Red Dragon Group takes everybody to win. And anywho, that picture, you looked like Mosey either smelt bad or you were a little timid of him.
I think it's probably because, like, as much as you love and respect hockey players, you don't want to come off like a fanboy, right? So
But you
I
are a
was kind of
fanboy,
like,
aren't you?
well, sure, but I
Get
desperately
right
want
in
the,
there, man.
of
Get your
course,
arm around him. You look scared of him.
but you also want Mosey to think you're cool, right? So you don't want to be like, it's cool to
Mosey'll
meet you,
think you're
man. And
cool. You're you're
so
you're supporting him and throwing him
I,
Kit Kats. You can get
I,
right in there. He'll like it.
well, we did. Yeah, I did tell him that was the when we did the photo. I did say I'm the guy throwing you Kit Kats, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, man. You're the only one doing it." So there was that sort of thing to it. I
It
think
was
it's
like an
also
ass out hug, man.
it was also a lot of people standing around watching, so you're kind of like a little uncomfortable. As much as I'm a musician, I'm in radio because in radio you don't have to look at people; people can't see you, so you can sort of hide behind that veil. So even though I'm outgoing and everything, I'm sort of an introvert. So maybe that picture was just too many people around, and I didn't want him to think I was a dork. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, I've seen some pretty cool man, what are they sponsor match night sponsors or whatever? You got that
yeah,
picture
the
with Mosey, and then Ollie Hampson's old man had one with Dicko back in the day and wore his Two Ales and Hockey Tales hoodie on the ice and took a picture with Dicko. And then like Jake's done it with the Moose in Manchester. And
yeah.
like when you see these pictures from your shed, it's just so heartwarming.
Yeah, I bet it is a cool, and it's great that you can do that. The puck sponsorships they're called. Again, that's back to the whole family vibe. Like that's the kind of thing you get to sit on the bench. The players are all friendly. They're all going to say hello to you. And it's a really fun experience. It's a way to help the team as well. Put a couple more bucks in the till. But it's great as a fan too that you get that little bit of interaction. It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And awesome when people, support me talking in my shed. Makes me want to do it more.
Absolutely.
Next poster pick, Noah's Ark Charity. You had
Yeah.
something to do with raising 274 toys for Christmas.
Yeah, it's something they do a lot. Maybe they do it more in Canada. They probably still do. But when I was working at the radio stations in Canada, the toy drive every Christmas was a huge thing. But here they didn't do it. So I was doing a morning show at the time here near Cardiff, getting a bit of traction, getting some people involved and listening. And I thought, well, it's time to try to do some good with this. So I thought, let's do a toy drive. So I thought maybe we'll get 10, 20 toys. I started saying on the air, I'm going to collect your brand new toys. We're going to give them to a children's charity. So everybody spread the word. And the first year was like 150. And then the second year was almost 300 toys. And it allows you to, plus, as we know, we've already discussed, I love toys. So any chance to really be around them too. But it's also just an amazing way to do, it's a very little thing for someone to just go out and buy a toy. But I got to have the experience of like driving around South Wales, collecting them from people, getting to say,
It'd
hey,
be
thanks for,
satisfying, wouldn't it?
yeah, it was amazing. You get to, say to somebody, thanks so much for helping with the toy drive. And I'll never forget getting to the hospital the day to drop them off, the day with the picture. And the lady said, oh, do you need a person or two to help you carry the toys in? And I was like, you're going to need like a shopping cart, lady. Like we got a lot of toys. And she was just shocked, blown away, as was I, that we had so many people. The car was absolutely rammed. They had to get a whole line of people getting them all in there. It's nice to be nice. And obviously
being nice is nice.
it makes you feel good. And since I came through cancer and I was so helped by the hospitals and by things like that, they saved my life literally. So who am I if I can't give a little bit back and try to help charities as well and keep that karma going? So plus it's toys. It's really cool, but I'm really proud of that. That's why I included it.
You should. And it's interesting for me nowadays to think if I ever made my own poster picks. I have so many pictures now, I wouldn't know what to put on there because of all the fun we've had. But
Yeah.
when you talk about the gratifying feeling, it's like we have raised money for a bunch of things in the shed. And to think I was able to help out a little bit for anybody by talking to my friends in my shed is really neat and it's gratifying. And when they do say thank you and it means so much, and it's like, I was just having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to have fun and also do nice things and do good things. So
Mm,
it's win-win, I think.
I think they call it living.
Absolutely.
Next poster pick, you are whooping it up at a Devils game. Is that a puck hat on you?
It probably is. Yeah. It's just, I'll check it with a puck hat. What is it? It's,
Well, you're
and I'm next to one of the Polish fans. Yeah. So that's something else I love about hockey is that's from they had the Conti Cup with all the other, the teams from the other countries coming into play.
and the refs eating chocolate bars on you.
Yeah, so this was the one before where they
Oh,
had the
sorry, this is the Continental Cup. Jeez,
this is
Cardiff's really doing it in that barn, eh?
yeah, we've
Continental
been
Cups, Team Great Britain get winning. What a
yeah, it
time.
was awesome. So this was the one where the Kazakhstan players came down and ran amok and won the whole thing.
Hmm.
But the atmosphere was incredible. And in the bar after each game, they would just sort of throw the music on. You get to have drinks. Me and the guy in that photo, I don't know his name. We didn't speak the same language, but we were able to just throw our arms around each other, have a shot with each other, and chuckle. I asked him if he wanted to trade jerseys and he turned me down, burn. But it was just an amazing experience, something that here in the UK, football is so popular, but you could not do that at a football game because somebody would end up getting hurt.
Yeah.
Hockey's just like a family. So it was amazing that, and on that day, the Devils put a whooping on his boys too. So it's nice that we were able to still stand there, have a drink, have a laugh, dance around like idiots, and then possibly never
That's
see each other
hockey.
again.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing.
that's hockey, and that meeting new people is fun.
Yeah.
There's good people everywhere, right?
I've
Uh,
even met nice Sheffield fans, man. I'm just, you know what I mean?
well, and like that would that's what's also weird for me, right? Is like I was a devil, like that's all
Yeah.
I was just a devil, and then I realized, you meet Robert Dowd, you meet Jonathan Phillips, you meet all those guys at Misey's testimonial, and we all had such a great weekend. We play hockey, we have fun, we go out together, and I was like, after I'm out of the game and I'm not wearing a jersey anymore, and it's like, man, there's a lot of good dudes out there in the hockey game that don't just play for Cardiff. And then you meet some of these Sheffield guys like this season, Saucerman and Tansey and Champini. I mean, they've had a lot of success this year, but I always say the teams that are closest win the most. And like those three guys seem like inseparable, and they muck it up. They do it for each other, and they got players.
And as a Devils fan, it kills me to say that they sound like really top notch dudes. You know, like as a Devils fan, you want to hate them. You want them to sound like jerks. You think, see, they are terrible, but no, they sound like great guys. Some of them played for Team GB, so I was cheering for them then. But it's great that the rivalry exists, and you can still sort of have that experience, like that photo of just having a drink in the bar after, whether you won 5-0 or whether you lost 5-0. You know.
Yep. Real world called 1 second. Game back on.
Game on.
I guess now you know that I do both things.
Yeah, you never know whether it's a gimmick, right? But now I can literally attest to the fact that yes, real world does sometimes interrupt. Absolutely.
And you can do it right from the comfort of your shed.
Yeah, I can't do my job from this shed. I do one of my jobs from this shed, but no, my real job is very hands-on. I'm very jealous of my wife who can work from home.
Yeah, I do. I'm a hybrid. I go in, I muck it up in the office too, but it is way more fun from my shed.
Definitely.
What is your day job? What's your hands-on thing? Isn't it radio
Uh,
broadcasting?
I mean, that's what I really enjoy, and that's what is my most fun. But I also have a regular, boring day job. I work in aerospace, and I'm not allowed to say any more than that. But that makes it sound way more exciting than it is. But yeah, I work in aerospace here in the UK.
Okay.
Nothing cool, nothing X Files related. Honestly, it's just we make fancy seats for planes, and I mean like ones that are like mini apartments with TVs and like fully reclining beds and stuff. So it's fun. It's I try to look at it kind of like a way to just pay the bills and let me live my fun life and do the
Oh, I know what you mean. Did
things.
you?
And so you kind of have to do that so you can do this. Yeah.
I completely understand.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. I do all the stuff I need to do, so then I can do this.
That's right. You earn it. You earn the fun time by working hard and getting the bills paid, and then you don't feel bad about recording podcasts or songs in the shed because you played hard that day. You earned it that day, and maybe my reward isn't a Kit Kat, even though I'll eat chocolate anytime. But if I work hard all week, my reward is I get to come out and play music for an hour or two, or work on my radio show. And then there's no guilt involved, right? You're not shucking off your responsibilities to just play in the shed. I love the fact though that we both record in sheds, but yours looks a lot bigger than mine now that I see it. This thing is literally 8x6. I got a drum set, amps, instruments, all the toys.
You
I
must
have to
make it
like,
loud in there, eh?
Yeah, it's all electric, but yeah, we make some noise. We make
Yeah.
some noise from time to time, especially when I'm mixing. I kind of have to make things really loud so I can kind of hear them properly. Yeah, there's definitely noise, and I wonder what neighbors think because to them it just looks like a shed, and then all of a sudden they just hear all these noises coming out of there, or me singing to myself. They must think I'm odd, but they probably think I'm odd anyway. So
I don't think anybody around here knows what's going on in my shed except a couple neighbors.
yeah, you just never know. So now when I see sheds and gardens, I'm like, you just never know what could be going on in that shed.
You
Because
never know what's in someone's
yeah.
shed.
I mean, there's fully fledged radio broadcasts happening out of this one, and it looks just like exactly like a garden shed. So it's pretty cool.
Well, like when you said having your responsibilities and knowing you're getting the job done and then not having guilt doing this is like,
Yeah.
we did just pause it and I took care of what I had to take care of. And what's cool for me is that I do this on lunch. I don't hide anything of what I'm doing. I am an open book because I know I'm doing my job too. But like, I have a meeting where it's interesting what we do here. We do heat treatment globally around the world. We're in the UK. We're all over North America, and it's like doing this, but we talk about playing a different game. And then I'm in a meeting with some big dogs about training, and the CEO, like, we're making training videos for the company, and he's like, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but Wally here, he runs a podcast and he's got a heck of a voice, so he's better do the voiceovers. And he's joking around in the real world about me
Hmm.
doing my passion on the side, and he has supported me from the start. And when he talked to
Yeah.
me the first time at work about it, he said, it seems like you're having fun. Keep having fun. And that's exactly who I want to work for. And it's just like in hockey, the you want to play for people like that, and you want to play harder for them.
Yeah. Happy. You always say it. Happy players play better.
They
Well,
do.
happy employees play better too, right? So
Sure
you
do.
have to. There's that. So I mean, I literally call my boss coach. So it's kind of like we are a team. We do have a target. We have something we have to get done, and we work together. It takes everybody to win. It takes everybody to do a good job, except for radio, which I love about that is because I can literally just do that by myself here in the room. Nobody else gets involved except for if my boss shouts at me because I said something stupid. But that happens so often, he just leaves me alone about it now for the most part.
Yeah, I'm sure I say lots of stupid stuff too on here, but I can just come out to the shed. But I do gotta find a dance partner, and it is fun every time I lock down a dance partner in the shed.
Yeah, and it's always somebody different. I think I like that about the show too. It's not always a former player. You'll talk to all different people from all different avenues of the game, and that's interesting too, right?
Well, it
For
is
a
all part of
listener
the game.
standpoint.
It's all how it makes it happen. It's like if you didn't throw the Kit Kat on the ice and the ref eats it, it's like all the fun stuff ain't happening unless people are doing stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't fun though. If I see that ref again, I'm not going to be happy. I couldn't. I still can't. I'm not over it. I know it's just a kick out, Wally. I'm not over it. That man stole from me. He looked me straight in the face when he did it. Unbelievably disrespectful. Um, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I know it's hard when people piss you off, right?
Yeah, terrible. Especially a referee. Come on, man. He couldn't have, I don't want to get back on it, but he couldn't have possibly thought that Kit Kat was for him. Come on.
Well, it's like in the real world, there there was one time that there was a very upsetting guy around. And in the real world, you have to handle things so differently than on the ice, where when
Yeah.
someone takes advantage, someone's doing stuff they're not supposed to, and you can't just wait for your chance to run him through the wall or drop the mitts and fight him. Or two-hand him or spear him or do something. You gotta like do everything a little different.
Yeah, yeah. You can't just, there's none of that in the real world. You can't just pull their jersey over their head and start swinging for them. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's easier to just settle things.
It's easier just to move along and both of you be proud of how you handled it like adults, which is boring, but it's the real world, right? Yeah.
I definitely handled it like an adult.
I try my best. Some days I lose at that game.
uh Actually, yeah, I shouldn't talk about the real world too much, but it was another day in my life. I started becoming a bigger boy. I started having more confidence in myself, and it was the first time I got rid of someone on my roster.
Yeah. Ouch. Ouch.
Tough feeling, right? Because you want everybody on your team to have your back and support them and be on your team. And then when someone's just not willing and it goes to a point where you're like, well, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then you get the culture you need. And maybe
Yeah,
that's why there's roster shakeups in hockey too, right?
I think so. Definitely.
Hmm. Okay, let's see here. The Stanley Cup in Toronto. That's when, for poster picks, that's when you came back to Ontario for a visit in the summer.
Yeah, so we tried to do a bunch of the touristy stuff that you don't really do when you live there. And we got to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, which is great fun. I represented the Devils and made sure I was wearing my Devils jersey. But it was nice to see the cup. It was nice to see what all the fuss is about. And it was really cool to just walk around in all that hockey history. Really exciting. And it's
Yeah.
cool that it's a Canadian thing and it's right there, you know?
The Hockey Hall of Fame is cool, and so for the kids that get to go, maybe aren't as old enough to be into the memorabilia, they have
Mm-hmm.
those like the game where you get to be a goalie and you get to shoot the pucks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That one we wanted to do that, but there was too many kids waiting to go on it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I elbowed them right out of the way.
Yeah, I probably should have done that. Just check them out of the way and just gone about it. But yeah, it was a great day. Really cool to be there, and I thought it was an important poster pick because I was repping the Devils as well.
You were, and the next poster pick where you're repping the Devils is you were performing on stage with the Devils hat on.
Yeah, you always got to bring a little bit of love to the Devils, you know. Plus, I thought it went well with the black shirt. But yeah, just wherever I can, I like to include maybe a little bit of Devils memorabilia because maybe a lot of people, so some people won't know what it is.
Yeah,
Think
and
it's a cool Devil logo, but then it's my strong arm way to talk about hockey with people that didn't ask about hockey.
well, what's
You know,
neatest thing for me was, I've been trying to raise money for the Manchester Storm to pay my bill. And throughout that, I've been trying to do that instead of the last couple seasons. I'd be raising money for charities and on the side, raising money to make mini sticks and shirts for my teams. And
uh-huh.
I kept hesitating and hesitating on ordering the shirts for my boys because I wasn't making any money for my squad because I was trying to pay Manchester. And the day I say, you know what, I got to do this. They've been on my team all year. They're my fellows. They're all shed guys. And we're in playoffs and I need to make these shirts. And I hit send, I order them, and then I go to the grocery store on lunch to grab something. Random decision, and
Mhm.
I park in the parking lot and there's $250 cash laying there. And I thought, wow, this world is incredible.
Amazing. Yeah, it's
So I
hard.
gave
Like,
I gave them all to them. I just gave them to them. So after that, what barn burner, we came back 3-0. Our next game's the exact opposite. We're up 4-1 going into the third, completely dominating, and we let our foot off the gas. We stopped playing, and it was a brutal third period, and the other team comes back and ties it up 4-4. I call a timeout and let them know what I thought of the play in the third period and
mhm.
let them know what needed to be done. And we play the rest of the third. We go into overtime and grease out another one. And I had all the shirts in a box for them. So after we win it overtime for the second game in a row, I gave them all their 2Ls and Hockey Tails shirts. And then we had practice the next day, and every single one of them was wearing the shirt and
That's awesome.
said they had worn it to school that day. And then like to think of all those boys showing up at school with my 2Ls and Hockey Tails shirt on is cool.
Yeah. Did you always think you would have been a coach?
I always knew I wanted to. My
Yeah.
dad coached me at a young age and he
Yeah.
made it fun and helped make us brothers for life and we won. And like this season when I won with my son again, it's moments that you'll have forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a musician, that's something you never quite like. Sure, you are a team and your brother's in a band, but ultimately everyone's sort of in it for themselves. So you don't really get that experience of being part of such a big team and experiencing it all together. And it must be an amazing thing. And then to coach and be able to pass it on. I heard the episode with your young team. Uh, I had to Google so many words because I'm like, what did he? I don't understand these young kids these days.
I
All
know.
these things they're saying to each other. I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff means. I assume it's good. Nobody got offended. But it's wild to hear how different generations can be, man. It's wild.
They have different sayings and they call tape jobs on their sticks TJs and
Yeah.
things with style or sty. And then they have some other saying about what something's good, and it's really silly word. I forget what it is, but yeah, they do talk different. But like I have a bond with these kids, and it's interesting that when I first came back, I didn't know if I should be a coach. And I remember when I got hurt in Cardiff and they made me the power play coach. And I was always a peer with the guys, and I wasn't the guy telling people what to do. I was just the guy running the power play. And
Mhm.
then I became the like coach it, and I was supposed to give them pointers in between periods. And I remember what the first time I was telling them a play I had seen, and I was so nervous to talk in front of the guys when I wasn't wearing hockey equipment and tell them what
Mhm.
I thought because I wasn't in the game with them. And I told them a play, and I remember Todd, I could see him behind, like watching me do it and how nervous I was and how unconfident I was being a coach.
Yeah.
And you do have to have confidence as a coach and you have to believe you are the guy. But they went out and did the play I had told them to do the next face off, and it worked. And they went right down the highway and got a shot off. They didn't score, but I was like, oh my God, they actually did what I said. And now with these kids, man, you show them something, you teach them something, and then you see them go out there and do it, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I think they'll remember those memories of you being their coach forever, right? Especially the ones that go on to make a whole life out of hockey. You
I
know,
try to be memorable in everything I do.
I'm sure that you are, and I'm sure that they want to make their coach proud, right? So it must be an amazing feeling.
Well, seeing the camaraderie, the team, like that they're a
Yeah.
team, and they're exactly how I want them to be. The way they interact with each other, the way they're boys being boys, but they're all in it together, and it is the most fulfilling shit to see.
Yeah.
And
How are
they'll
the
be friends
playoffs
for
going?
life. We're
Yeah.
three,
How the
we're 3-0. Two overtime
Nice.
wins and we won 7-1. So we played the three toughest teams and we got four more games. We should be able to be one of the top two teams out of this round robin to play the best of three to move on to all Ontario's. But that best of three will be very difficult. My guess would be it'll be against that team we were down 3-0 to, and
Hmm.
it will be as hockey as it gets out there.
Sounds like fun. Well, winning is fun, kids. Remember that.
Yes. And fun fact though, I get this chocolate thrown around the world. Remember the kids and I asked for chocolate in that episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Three wins since, zero chocolate bars.
Terrible.
Be better, parents.
Yeah.
Be
Be
better.
better.
Buy
Terrible
in.
behavior.
Yeah.
Disgusting behavior.
Hope the kids
Support
like
your
their shirts. You can't
support
even
your
throw
kids. Yeah.
chocolate, right?
Yeah. Right. Coach Wally buys them T-shirts. You can't throw a candy bar.
Yeah. Boys
Disgusting.
want it, and the boys realize that
Yeah.
they haven't been thrown. They were telling their parents, like, it's gonna happen. Wally said it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. And now what? Am I not a man on my word?
I think you're a man of your word. These parents are making you out to be a liar.
I know. Be
Terrible.
better. If any, I doubt any of them
Be
are listening
better.
though. Maybe they didn't listen.
Maybe they didn't, but if they are listening, be better and throw the chocolate.
Yeah. Now that the boys have shirts, maybe they don't have a podcast.
Maybe. Yeah.
Fun stuff. But what else do I got? So where do you play in the UK now when you go and play by yourself? What type of venues are you at?
It's a lot of pubs. It's a lot of working men's clubs. I do a lot of charity gigs because there's less pressure on those to worry about ticket sales and things like that. So it's always a rowdy bunch. It's always a drunk crowd, but it's always fun because I do a lot of originals, but I also do a lot of covers that I would say are unexpected. Like you don't expect a guy like me to cover No Scrubs by TLC. But that's the sort of stuff I like to cover because I don't want to get up there and sing Ed Sheeran and the same 6 songs that every other guy you see play with a guitar plays. I want to do something a little different. So you probably hear Cyndi Lauper and you'll probably hear a Britney song or a Backstreet Boys song in amongst all the other stuff that I do. But
If
yeah,
you're
it's
not
mostly those
different
kind of
and you're
venues.
not being yourself, who are you being? Right?
Absolutely. I mean, we did the gigs where like 4 nights a week you were the pub band, you were the cover band, and that wasn't fun because you didn't get to be yourself. You had to play the songs as they're written. Whereas I'll do medleys and I'll play, turn this song into that song, and I'll try to rap in the middle of some things. It's just a bit of fun because if I'm not having fun, there's no way the crowd is having fun, right?
Mm,
So that's
like
what I
playing
find important.
hockey.
Exactly. If you're not giving it that extra bit of energy, then what's the point of there being an audience and what's the point of anyone actually being there? They could have just put the jukebox on to drink their beer.
Yeah, and and you say the drunk rowdy crowd. It's like, well, playing at Western Michigan in front of the Lawson Lunatics, who is a whole half arena full of free tickets for the first students that show up, and they are drunk and rowdy, and holy
Yeah.
moly was hockey fun.
Yeah, it's a wild atmosphere when everyone gets into it. I do find it funny though when you see a guy like 3, 4 beers deep screaming at the Devils players about how they should be playing, and you're thinking like maybe you should go down there and give it a little try. I mean, look, I admit it, I yell shoot sometimes, but there's no part of me that thinks that I could be out there doing any better than those incredible athletes. So it's funny to see the guys beside me going, "Oh, this is terrible. I could do better." And it's like, no, you really couldn't. Put down the pizza, bud. You know?
Hmm. I agree. So I'm guessing this is the album you released. Two Sides to Every Hero, the Matt Lee's
That's right.
band.
That's right. And because there is two sides to every hero, right? Whether it's a hockey player, whether it's your coach, whether it's your boss or whatever, your mom, your dad, there's two sides to everything. And that's sort of like the idea I had when I was writing music, when I was writing those songs. The album took us a long time. But now that it's out there and it's like a physical thing I can hold in my hand,
That's
uh,
cool.
I've never been more proud than anything. So,
And you should be proud.
and
You
it's,
did
yeah,
that.
it's
You earned it.
I've never worked harder on anything in my life. So I'm pretty proud of me and my 18 monthly listeners on Spotify. I earned every single one of those listeners. And we dedicated the album to my father, who sadly didn't live long enough to get to hear it, but he was always super supportive of a music career. So I'm just really proud that it's out there. And whether it gets a million listens or 20 listens, I still am super proud of those songs and all the hard work that went into them. Because the
And
record
you
started.
should be. I listened to it, man. It's good. And for the Shed family listening, you should definitely check out the Matt Lee's band on Spotify or Apple Music, right? Or anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere you can get music, we're there. Yeah, the album's two sides to every hero, and like I say, I'm incredibly proud of it. I like the songs, and it's similar to like people will say like if artists that like their own music, but like if I don't like the music I'm creating, why should anybody else like it?
Mm.
So you got to be proud. You got to invest in it. The record started when we all lived in the same place, but we finished it when we were all in different countries. So there's different parts of it for me where I'm like, oh, we were in the same room for that one. And that was me 12 years ago. And that guy had no idea what I was about to go through before we finished that record. And obviously, having the health battle that I had before the record was finished, there was a part of me that was like, I failed because the one thing I ever wanted to do was release an album, and I might not even get to do it. So when I
Well, you
came
did her.
through, well, that's when I came through. I contacted the guys and I was like, we have to finish this record. Like, I almost didn't make it through. Let's finish this damn record and get it out there. And now it's out there. And every time somebody new listens and they tell me they listened, I'm a little bit blown away and I'm a little bit like, oh, it's cool. You're listening to our songs. Very cool.
When I searched you and then it said popular songs, I hit the first one, and as soon as I started listening, I felt like it was late 90s and I was in high school in Elmira, Ontario.
I'm glad to hear that because that's exactly the vibe we're going for, because that's exactly where the music was created, was in that
That's
same
cool.
like
See,
90s
maybe I
high
do
school
know
era.
about music.
I think you have a great opinion of music, personally so far. So
So two sides to every hero. Is that like kind of like what you mean by when people say don't ever meet your heroes?
yeah, I think it's sort of like, okay, so you see a hockey player on the ice who scores a hat trick, looks like he has the life of dreams, he plays for this amazing hockey team. But maybe he got broken up with by his girlfriend that day. Maybe he was pissed off that day, and maybe that's sort of the vibe of two
Those aren't the
sides to
guys.
every hero.
Those aren't the guys that score a hat trick at night, though.
It could very well be that way, right? But you can look at somebody from an outwardly view and go, man, that guy or girl's got it made. They're living the dream. But there's something about them that you also don't know. So I think even if somebody is your hero, or if you try to be a hero in yourself, you still have a little bit of darkness. There's still that other side that maybe you keep to yourself. You don't let anybody see that vulnerable side of yourself. So that's sort of the vibe of the album for me.
Well, and that's very much like hockey players, is like people think hockey players have this ravish life. And it's like even the NHL guys that make millions, you know how many people they have saying bad things to them and mean things, and they also have their own personal lives that they have stuff going on. And like they all go out and put on a brave face no matter what's going on in life and perform the best of their abilities, right?
Yeah, I think people forget that. People become entitled as fans, and they don't appreciate that these are just a bunch of dudes out there with moms and dads and boyfriends and girlfriends and sisters and cousins just playing a sport. And then, that's why if I do get to meet the players at signings, my wife and I are always open to say like, thank you. Like, thanks for playing for the team. We appreciate everything you're doing for the squad, even though I yell shoot now and again, but like, we want the players to feel appreciated. They may not care what some random dude says or what some guy's wife says, but we want them to know that we don't take it for granted that they're out there playing for our team and working as hard as they do, win or lose.
Yeah,
Um, it's
that's the right way to be. It's interesting that you're my music guy and you're such a shed guy and you get it.
I mean, I'm glad to hear you say that, but like when I hear the other episodes of Shed Guys, I kind of did have the vibe of like, I think I'm kind of a shed guy. I kind of trying to embrace some of these lifestyles and be kind to each other and appreciate each other, but also work hard and earn it. Boo the refs when necessary. But because sometimes the ref needs to be booed. Sometimes people in my real life, I boo them. I tell them you need to get booed today. You're upsetting me, and I'm gonna boo you. You did not play well today.
It's got to be better.
You got to be better. You know,
Yeah. Losing sucks. It takes everybody to win, right?
absolutely.
So you're a season ticket holder. You ever hit the road to watch any games?
We haven't yet, but we want to. We see how much fun, especially now because we're part of the season ticket. We sit with a bunch of other season ticket holders. You kind of get to know them. They become kind of like your hockey family. And they're
Yeah.
coming back now and showing me pictures of like a weekend in Nottingham or a weekend in Sheffield. And we're so envious. So we definitely want to get into the away games.
Yeah.
It looks like an absolute blast. Right now we're at every home game. We went to all the tournaments, but I think there's something to be said. Like the Polish fans that we met, they
They
were
had a
having a
time.
time. They had a time. So I'm thinking, well, we should do that too. We should go away and be part of that,
Oh
that,
yeah.
that
Well, like,
Cardiff
when you're
Devil
part of the
crew.
community, you get to go away. I saw when I was injured in 15, 16, and I was a pregame speaker. I did go on the fan bus to a couple road games to surprise the fellas, and they didn't know I was coming. And I got on the fan bus and just had the best time ever getting to know everybody. And they make
Yeah.
hockey so much fun on that bus. It was
Yeah.
wild. And
Yeah. I
I had
love
to
it.
I had to be not too inebriated to perform my pregame speech up to my level, you know?
Yeah. We get to sit with the same people. It's the same group saying hello to you. So you've had a really bad day, but you get to go to the Devils home game. All your regular crew around you.
It's your
It's
happy
an amazing
place.
feeling. Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely. My wife jokes that we need to let the government know that it's our second address because we're at the arena that much. Uh, Buddies from Canada will message me and say, "You watch more hockey than most Canadians I know." And I say, "Well, they should be better then. They
Yeah.
should do better."
Yeah.
But it is definitely our happy place.
Well, and the Devils fans, they cheer louder than Canadians.
It is pretty wild. Sometimes it's a little quiet, and this might be controversial. I may get some hate for saying this. I personally could do without the drums. I don't know how you felt as a player. I love the loud crowd, but I'm not so much into the drums. Maybe it's because I'm a musician and I'm thinking about it. It's not real. It's not in time. It's not real. I could do without the
That's your
drums.
music brain. You
Yeah,
need
yeah,
drums, you need flags, you need to muck it up.
yeah. And I love
Even
now.
if
There's
you're
a
not
new
great with the drums, bang away, folks.
Yeah, and there's a new segment now of the Devils fans that have decided to start stripping their shirts off when we win and when we score, and I'm here for it. I'm all about
Right?
every second of it. It's just an
Hey,
amazing atmosphere.
wonder where getting topless in the crowd started in Cardiff.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, if I see him start spray painting 81 on his back, I'm gonna tell him that we're gonna sue him for a gimmick infringement because that's
No,
your game.
no,
You
go
started
ahead,
that.
folks. Spray paint away. Get involved.
Get involved,
He's our
absolutely.
goat.
I mean, that's the reason I bought the what they called the stupid chains the Devils released. When I first saw it, it's this cheesy on purpose, by the way, chain.
It's
I
definitely on
when,
purpose, cheesy.
when I first saw it, I was like, I think I should probably get one of those. Then when I saw all the other fans of the Elite League saying, "I hope Cardiff know how stupid that thing is and how ridiculous they're going to look," and I thought, well, now I'm definitely getting one, right? Like I
Oh
got to
yeah.
wear it as much as I can. I can't wear it anymore. I got all the boys to sign it as signing, so now I'm afraid to wear it outside. But you see some of the hate people get for it. I'm like, I'm definitely wearing that. I don't care if you think I look stupid. We just won 13 games in a row. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you need a stupid chain too.
Um, yeah, it's fun. Life's funner when you stop caring what people think about you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as a musician when I was young, as like 18, 19, lead singer of a rock and roll band, I really, really cared what people thought. And I look back on that now and I'm like, I could have had way more fun if I wasn't so obsessed with making sure I was that cool lead singer guy. If I just would have been Matt, I probably would have had a lot more fun at the time. But maybe like a hockey career, you don't get to appreciate all those things until you're no longer doing it like that. And you think, man, that guy was having a time and he didn't even know it. He didn't even appreciate it.
I would say that about my hockey career. Wasn't appreciating the ride while I was in it. Especially like living in Germany and all that. But I always found the teams that were winning, I could be Wally, I could be myself, and
Yeah.
it made me play better. And then the teams that like we just didn't have the players. We didn't have, there were a couple that didn't have the camaraderie, but like we weren't good enough. And I couldn't be myself on a losing team. I couldn't be the fun guy bringing all the fun when we just lost another 2 games. And it would be very hard for me to be that loser guy.
Yeah, and it takes that connection to be a winning team. I mean, the best Devils team I've ever seen is the one that everybody talks about. I think when they were winning everything, and it was Joey and Benty, and then you realize that these guys all grew up together. So no wonder they're running amok and they're so loyal to each other because they're all brothers, right? So sometimes the team is just a bunch of guys thrown together. But that team was one of the first couple of seasons we started going, they're winning the cup, they're winning the playoffs, they're winning the league. They were just smashing teams 11-1, 12-1. And then when you go on to read about it and realize that they all grew up together,
Well, and
it
like
makes perfect
Lordo
sense.
knew how to recruit shed guys.
Absolutely. Lordo cost me $30 this week, man.
Why?
Well, we did this. They did for Ben Davies' testimonial. They did a charity race night, which is basically where you like bet on horses and things. And Sam Duggan, of course, the devil, was kind of I use the word loosely, but bullying people into spending more money. So I thought there was these horses, and you get to an auction to own said horse for the race. Andrew Lord's on the list. I'm like, well, you got to bid on Lordo. So I figure I'm gonna spend about $20. And there's Duggan in front of a full room going now 30. I'm like 25. He's like 30. 27. I'm not budging on this. He's just staring at me. $30. I'm like, all right, fine,
He's
$30.
persuasive.
That's right. And then my wife says, we would have broken even if you wouldn't have spent that 30 at the end. But it was just good fun, and you're going up giving him a buck to sponsor a horse. And if you're giving $1 to Mosey, well, now you got Barrow being like, what about me? You're not giving me $1 too. And then now you're out multiple pounds, I should say. And it's also fun to say that Barrow said to me, hey, I like Kit Kats. What about me? So there you go. I guess I got to throw him a Kit Kat now
Well,
too.
he
You know,
was he is a shed guy, and he came on
of
when he was
course,
part of the Chocolate Storm, and he
that's
did
right.
ask for Kit Kats, right?
Yeah, well, he's gonna get a Kit Kat as well as Mosey's Reese peanut butter cups at tomorrow's game. So it's my little way to be. I'm doing my part for the team too. And I wanted to ask an opinion on chocolate from you. This is your decision. I'm gonna go with whatever you decide. Chocolate after a hard fought loss. How do you feel
No,
about that?
not at all.
No, none. See, now there was a game where Sheffield put a bit of a whooping on our boys, 5 or 6-0. And I still threw a Kit Kat for Mosey
Don't
because
do
I
that.
felt that, all right, fine. Listen, I just felt that he
No,
deserved it because he still worked hard. Okay, fine.
no.
I asked for
You
the
either
answer. You
won or you
gave it,
lost the game. It doesn't even
decided.
matter
So
how you played.
zero chocolate for a loss. Fine.
Correct,
Uh,
correct.
Fair. Okay. I just, if you don't ask, you don't know. And it's funny that my wife said the chances of the Reese peanut butter cups lasting through the game are very minimal because she's probably going to end up eating them, but I'm going to do my best. But now you've told me, fine, no chocolate for a loss, even a hard fought one, huh?
Um, no, you do not. You have to earn it to get it. Trying
Okay.
hard is not winning.
Fair enough. Okay.
Um,
That's the way it's going to go from now on.
yeah, you earn your breaks in hockey by trying harder. Um, Anywho, fun fact that people may not know about is I'm going rogue with the chocolate and Sheffield, and when I had Tansy and Saucerman on and Champini, chocolate did happen, and they've been getting Toblerones and their Ferrero Rochers. And Tansy wrote to me, says, I can't believe how much chocolate I have. And like,
Yeah.
this is just from us talking in our shed. And I never played for Sheffield. And I think that's wicked awesome because they are shed guys. But then someone said to the Steelers, like, can we find out what everybody likes? Because it shouldn't just be them getting chocolate. And I totally agree. Is that when a team
Mm-hmm.
earns it, in hockey, it takes everyone to win. And how do you think these other players feel when it's just a couple of them getting chocolate bars? But then Tansy put out there and said, I got enough chocolate for years here. Why don't you throw out the most interesting or weirdest things? And
Yeah.
it's like Critch saying, well, I don't want Kit Kats because Sheffield asked for Kit Kats. I want to do something different. And he says, let's do the Storm of Chocolate. Tansy saying, let's do something weird and be different than Manchester. Hey, I totally support that. But I've been messaged by a couple shed folks of the things that they are going to give him. And it is going to get as hockey as it gets in Sheffield.
Yeah, his tweet about give me the most random stuff. I know a Cardiff fan who plans on giving him, maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But the soap, like a soap brush for doing the dishes, like, so I think it's gonna get,
Serious.
like you said, it's gonna get pretty hockey. I think, yeah, that's fun.
It's that it could get so out of hand, but
Yeah,
the things I found out he might get thrown. Um, well, we'll move on. It'd be interesting, but
yeah.
the one person said, we're gonna hold you responsible if people start throwing livestock on the ice.
Well, some hockey sheds, some barns throw fish or whatever it is on the ice, right? So there's
If we
been
got in
weirder
trouble
things.
for Kit Kats and people start throwing fish on the ice, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah,
Actually, it's
I
gonna be
think you are.
Tansy, right?
Yeah. It's just going to be those guys that get in trouble. It's no problem. We won't get in trouble. Todd will allow it in Cardiff, right? Right?
Right.
Right?
It'd be like
Hmm.
Todd would let people throw stuff on the ice, right?
Well, no one's ever told me not to throw Kit Kats, even though I missed the one week and did hit a guy in the back.
Well, and speaking of Sam Duggan, he was the one that started Buenos for the boys with my under 11 fellas, and that was a memorable night. And that was another one of the ways this all started. It all started in Cardiff.
Yeah, it is such a great team, and all the boys that you do get to meet are so super friendly. And obviously Duggan's connection, he was he almost played for the Kitchener Rangers as well, right? You talked about it on your podcast that he reached out to the Rangers at a certain point. He
Geez,
didn't
you remember
play
more
for
of our
them.
talks than me. I'm just talking.
I think it was because it was a Kitchener connection, and because
Right.
I've seen the Rangers play tons of times. I've been the guy driving the radio station vehicle around on the ice to pick up all the bears on the air the bear night. So that story stuck out to me because there was the Kitchener connection.
Yeah.
Because go Rangers, what a team!
Yeah. And fun fact was like their assistant coach for the last many years has been Dennis Weidman, one of my Mennonite fellows from Elmira that grew up winning all Ontario's with me and made the NHL. You know?
Let's go Rangers.
Okay, so I guess you haven't been to many other barns. I was gonna say what's your favorite barn, but I guess if you're only going to Cardiff, that's probably your favorite, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my favorite. It's definitely that loyalty to it. I've been to the Kitchen Auditorium, which of course is amazing. I also got to see concerts there and like wrestling and stuff. And having driven a car on the ice, I do have a special connection with the auditorium. But it's got to be the Vindico, even though it keeps changing its name. It's got to be the Ice Arena, right?
Well, the Kitchener Auditorium is one of the best junior hockey rinks in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, phenomenal. When we looked to get tickets, when we just kind of looked at the arena when we were going to be visiting, originally we were going to visit in the winter. And I just remember being shocked that it was like multi-level. Of course, it's multi-level, but going to the Vindico for so long, I'd kind of forgotten how much bigger the Kitchener Auditorium was. Amazing, and those games used to sell out all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, they are. It's a good stuff. So what's your favorite song in the world?
Oh man, that would change depending on the day. You
You
know,
want to hear
uh,
mine?
yes, I do.
The Two Ales and Hockey Tales theme song.
What an answer. See, I was going to say that as my answer, but that would have been egotistical. Um, I think today, right now, my favorite song is Maggie May by Rod Stewart, but that
Ah,
changes all the time.
Small
You know,
World. His son came to the shed, right?
see, it's all interconnected.
All interconnected
Um,
in the shed, folks.
absolutely. Yeah.
um, have you mucked it up on Chippy Lane before?
Of course I have. Absolutely. We actually will be mucking it up on Chippy Lane this coming Saturday as well.
Mm,
But my wife and I are no stranger to a drunken stumble down Chippy Lane. And then obviously
magical stuff.
hearing all the stories on the pod about like all the hockey guys being there too, it kind of gives you a different vibe when you walk down there because you think, well, they've been down here too. And I love Todd's story about bumping into a bunch of players while they were out on the sauce as well. But for the people out there who could never really understand what Chippy Lane is, it's like it's amazing. Like it's
It's
just
it's a magical place.
like what is it like 2 city blocks wide, if that, right? But it's just this unbelievable little street corner full of all different food venues, usually with puke all over the ground, people singing, people dancing, drunk guys laying on the ground, homeless people walking around.
People shitting and
Oh,
puking.
like Lane, it's amazing.
When you go there and you're observant still,
Yeah.
the things you can see are the funniest things in the world.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's love and positivity. Like you make eye contact with somebody, and it's like, hey, hey, and they'll cheers you with the beer that you're not supposed to be carrying down the street, but you totally are carrying a beer down the street. It's amazing. I'm really quite grateful that it's right here, that it's our Chippy Lane, because
I
don't get me
agree.
wrong, it's not fine dining. Okay, you're not going there. It's not going to change your life. It might change your life in a different way.
You're going to muck it up if you're going to
That's right.
Chippy Lane. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they've got there's a new bar in there now that has a big, massive ball pit for adults only. Like there's just all this crazy shit you can do all in Chippy Lane. It's just amazing. So yeah, Saturday, I'm looking forward to it already. Saturday we'll be there mucking it up. I'm pretty excited about that.
You should be. Every Saturday night at Chippy Lane, or say Sunday morning, until about 4 a.m. is some of the best people watching you can have. And you're right, though. Everybody is in a positive mood. It's like everybody's gone out in Cardiff for the night and everybody has had a time. And now it's closing time and everybody's had fun. Let's go muck it up and get to bed.
And let's eat some terrible food. And then let's go fall asleep with our clothes still on top of the bed. Chippy Lane, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And the garbage on that road, like you talked about a bit of throw up on the ground. There is way more garbage than throw up, man. You get there at 3 a.m. and there are just containers overflowing out of the garbage bins, shit laying everywhere. And then every morning it's cleaned up.
Yeah, there's some magic. The magic elves come through at night and clean it up, and then it's back to normal. And then we do it all over again, baby. It just happens all over again.
What a city.
What a city. Love Cardiff. So many, like, Cardiff doesn't get enough love for a fun city. Like, I've run amok in Toronto and different places. I visited friends in the States, but like Cardiff doesn't get enough love for how much fun you can have in Cardiff. And I said mostly positively. You get the occasional jerk and the occasional drunk guy that wants to fight. But I find for the most part, if you just don't acknowledge those people and don't give them time of day, they'll go on and bark at somebody else. Like, I'm all for a random fist bump and a high five and a hug for some other drunk person. Like that's my jam, man. I'm all about that. That's a great way to end a really drunken, stupid night. Because you're walking thinking, I shouldn't have had that fifth drink. I didn't need that fifth drink. And then some guy go, hey, give me a hug. And you're like, all right, cool. And then you're back in the game. Let's go have another shot.
I don't get out much, right? I just come to my sheds, coach kids, and then you go over for the testimonial and you're hitting the town every night because you didn't get to as players. And we're old now and don't get to see each other anymore. And when we get together, we are going to do it. And it was so neat for me to see how much electricity is in that city, because you go out one night, you hop around to different bars with the fellas. Everyone's a little different, but everyone's fun. And then all of a sudden you see a fist fight in the middle of the bar. The bouncers take care of it and get the fellas out. And everybody just has a good old fashioned fist fight. And then everybody just keeps on with their night and carries on. And then you wake up the next day and it's like 11 a.m. and you look out your hotel window and the city is alive again. And everybody's got drinks going and everybody is enjoying the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amazing. We were at the Batchy testimonial game. That was so much fun. Fun to see a less serious side of hockey too. It was cool, but I could imagine there was some messes made on Chippy Lane that weekend.
Yeah, it was an exhausting hockey game for how slow paced it was.
I remember it was Deese Red who just skated himself right into the box and just cracked 2 beers open. It's like, that's my kind of guy right there.
Well, he knows he can't play. Good stuff. I'm not sure what else I got. Other than Chippy Lane, what are you going to eat on Saturday night when you get there? Have you already determined that, or is that a game time decision?
It is a game time decision, but we do have our favorites. But I'm leaning towards the Greek place this time, the Greek village in the corner there. Because that's
good.
Yeah, and it's nice there, but I could also be tempted into
never a problem.
Absolutely. A little bit of mythos as well. I love the Greek place, but that's the thing, is like you said, game time decision. Sometimes you got to be buzzed. You got to let your nose take you somewhere. You might see some guy walking by you with something and go, that's what I need to eat today. We do have a Wings up there now, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's trash. I'm sorry. It's trash. Chicken wings here in the UK, thumbs down. Haven't found any good ones. Just not happening.
Same things happen in Germany. They don't know how to chicken wing.
They don't even fry them here, man. They just like stick them under the grill. Don't cover them in sauce. They give you like a single line of sauce on it. I'm like, this you don't serve them with wet naps. yeah, it's horrendous. If you don't serve them with a wet nap, that's not a chicken wing, in my
You got to be
opinion.
getting dirty when you're eating chicken wings.
You do, right? And don't bring it to me from under the grill. It's still looking white and half dead, like it might start clucking if I give it mouth to mouth. Horrendous.
Well, there's some
So,
terrible food on Chippy Lane, let's be honest.
oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's not gourmet food. You're going there for the experience, folks,
You're
not
going
for
there for
the
the
not for the
experience and to
palate.
get the job done.
That's right, because it's 3 a.m. You're damn drunk, and you need something to eat because you feel like you might be sick.
And it's going to make you feel better and make you go to sleep.
That's right, absolutely.
And you get to see all of life while you're there.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so excited. I'll have to take some photos this weekend and get them on my Instagram of the Chippy Lane experience because
You definitely
we
need
can
to
talk
tag me
about it,
in
but
those, man, because
yeah, I
like
will.
my last Chippy Lane experience was after Batchy's testimonial, and I'm there with Franny and Pete Russell, and I'm with the new coach of my Cardiff Devils and my Fran man, and we're mucking it up. And then there's this fellow walking around that had shat himself, and we're having a good giggle, eating our food, walking around with a guy with wet trousers.
I mean, that's part of Cardiff too, I think, isn't it? You know, we were in the Owain Glendower, I think it's the oldest pub in Cardiff once, and I remember a lady. I was walking up the stairs to go to the men's room, but there was a lady walking down the stairs, and as she was walking down the stairs, she shat herself. And it's just kind of like hitting the stairs as she's like, so she's obviously, not wearing much, and she's kind of stumbling down the stairs, just shitting halfway down them. And I'm thinking, Cardiff, baby, here we
Cardiff,
go.
baby. And what
Yeah,
the part I enjoy about it is you get to North America, and I guess there's a certain age where people start taking themselves pretty seriously. And like, you don't see a whole bunch of 50-year-old men or women going and hitting the town and having a time. And then I went back to Cardiff, and you see people of all ages going out on the town with groups of friends and having a go.
absolutely. Yeah, you can go to like the mini golf places, and there's people of all ages and all groups there, just kind of playing, mucking it up, having fun. I think that's what I love about Cardiff. There's none of this like, aren't you guys a little bit old to be still playing mini golf? It's like one, screw you, and
And
two,
fun is
absolutely
fun.
not.
Yeah.
Fun is fun. I'm going to drink too many of these fancy named cocktails. I'm going to be terrible at mini golf, and then I'm going to go to Chippy Lane.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's going to be a fun night.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I totally agree. Great city. Funnest one I ever lived in, you know?
Doesn't get enough love. And I know I say that living here doesn't get enough love.
No. Do you have any questions for me? Because it looks like my notes are about over.
I didn't want to make it about me, but I was interested when I asked you earlier about when you guys have to dig deep as a professional athlete. You've had a crap day. The last thing you want to do is play hockey. But when that game starts, you have to sort of dig in and find it. I'm interested to know, is there a process that you have to go through to do that, or is it just there and you're able to flick the switch and say hockey time now?
I think, for the most part, I can speak for myself. I don't know about every
Sure.
hockey guy. I thought the further I went in my pro career, I was more consistent than when I was a young buck. I'd have some really off nights, and you wouldn't know how to play when you didn't have it. And come the end there, when I was in Cardiff, my knee didn't work very well. Couldn't get around that well. But I was doing the MBA. I had a toddler, and then we had a newborn that season, and I did my master's that season. Um, it was as busy as life got, really. I guess back then, now I'm probably busier. But I remember, like, I'd have to get papers done, I'd have school all day, and then we'd have a game at night, and I'd have all the kid stuff going on. And I
Mhm.
remember showing up to games like so tired I felt like I could throw up. Um, but then you get around the boys and you start playing two touch, and you're back at the rink, and I would go into the games and they would just kind of go on autopilot, and once you're in the
Yeah.
game, you're there. But yeah, I don't know. You once you've done it enough, you can do it, and it's just digging down deep and doing it.
Yeah, because obviously people with a normal regular day job, maybe they wouldn't understand that, right? Because like, not that I do, in case they're listening, but like I can go to my job and I can half-ass it for a day, right? I can be like, you know what, I'm
A lot of
giving
people can.
50% today. But I think when you're an athlete, you can't. That's not an option, because I think you said on one of these that Lordo used to say that EIHL games, every game was a game seven.
Mhm.
So You
Well, it
can't go to
is.
work and go, I'm giving 50% today. Even though I'm sure some jerk fans accuse the players of that sometimes. I really do admire that they have to, it's game day. No matter what else went on today, you have to go out there and play as hard as you can. And if you don't, the other team is going to, so
When it is like the pride you have in yourself, it's like as a pro hockey player, if you played half-assed, you will not be playing long.
of course, no.
I mean, you make mistakes on the ice. They don't they don't forget who made the mistake, and if you keep making the mistakes, you done.
Yeah, I suppose that like my bosses or your boss in like a normal day job, it's not that easy to fire somebody. But if you're a coach or a GM and you see a player not giving her, you can just be like, "You're out. I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring in another shed guy who's gonna give it, who's gonna care." You know.
that is what they do, and that is how it's interesting which players play the longest, right? And a lot of these shed guys play a long time, and every year there's new puppies coming out of college, coming out of junior,
Yeah,
trying to take your jobs. And then there's the
yeah.
guys that are done on the coast trying to go to Europe that are trying to take your jobs. And if you're not giving the team what they want and playing like they want, there is a lot of options of players out there.
There's a lot of other guys wanting to take your spot for sure.
And that's
Uh,
then you and people wonder why I'm so competitive. And it's like, well, that's the life I lived.
that's the life of the athlete. Yeah, a lot of fans always talk about like Cardiff specific, your goat, Joey Martin. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a certain vibe I think where we sort of, as much as we all love Richie, that we sort of feel that Joey is like our honorary captain. Because he
Yeah.
seems. My wife always says that he seems to be the face of the team. He seems to have a sense of pride in being like one of the Devils. He's always at the charity events. You always see him taking pictures with people. It must be incredible to see somebody with that much passion. And I imagine somebody like Joey brings it out in you and the other players as well, right?
Oh yeah, and when the new guys would be coming to that team, and the guys that are there have so much pride for the Cardiff Devils, like I did, like I do,
Yeah.
and they show up and they're like, oh, these guys like care. It's different than you go to these European teams that switch their imports every year, and they bring in these completely new guys that have never played together. They didn't grow up together. They don't know each other, and then you're trying to find your chemistry the first couple months. And then, well, you
Mhm.
haven't yet. So then they gas the coach in November, and then the season's just right off the rails. And it's like, well, maybe if you would have brought back some of the guys that like knew their way around town, knew how to adapt to the town, that could help the new guys, and bring everybody together, maybe that would help you win more.
Yeah, and I think maybe fans don't think about that side of it when they just see a bunch of guys on the ice playing. But there's so much more than, because I mean, you only spend what 60 minutes or of the day playing an actual game. The rest of it is being a team, being a squad and practice and you know being part of that unit. So I think we really like seeing when we think the players are buddies. I think they get along.
And that's the biggest thing,
It
man.
makes it more fun to watch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes it more fun to watch, I think, as a fan too.
um,
It's
yeah, no, it's definitely real. Definitely real. The closest teams win the most, and the people that care the most about their team, the most about their teammates, the most about their coach, the most about their organization, they're going to go out there and play harder than the guys that feel like it's a job and they don't have anybody that's that tight with them on the team, that they're not best friends with anybody. They're actually just getting to know everybody, and so is the other 10 guys on the team. It's like, well, how are you really going to all come together? And
yeah,
it's only
yeah.
8 months, right? Like it's only 8 months together. It's like to think of how fast my boys' hockey season has gone.
Mhm.
It's so sad. It's also so exciting where we're at in the season, but it's like none of us want it to end.
No, definitely. It's yeah. I'm not look even as a fan. I'm not looking forward to this season ending because it's kind of like, well, then what am I going to do? What do I do when hockey's over? And it's great because some of these players will get to go home and see their families and stuff. But it's almost like you don't want the season to end. You just want to keep hockeying, right? And I'm just a guy drinking beer in the stands, but I kind of want to just keep hockeying.
When
Um,
that's what hockey people want to do. They want a hockey.
Absolutely. Now, I would be remiss, and my wife would get upset with me if I didn't make a request, which is you need to get Cody Donaghy in the shed, who's the very popular Devil currently,
I know.
um, and really, again, one of those players who takes time to say hello. You always see him talking to kids and chatting to people.
I
Kind of want to
know.
hear his story too.
Mhm.
I need more Devils in general. Of course, I'm being greedy and selfish, but like I
It's
like all the
amazing
Devils, but
all
more Devils.
you know what? What's interesting is I want to have Devils on too. And a fan sent me a birthday video message from Cody to their daughter saying happy birthday. And he'd taken the time out of his day to do that for a
Yep.
fan. And I've seen the photos and I've gotten messages from numerous people. And it's not hard for me to figure out who's a Shed guy from Shed
Yeah.
headquarters because people let me know. And
Yeah.
everybody is raving about that guy. And I tagged him and posted that birthday video. And I said, get in my shed. And I got crickets back. Maybe he's scared of the shed. I even texted
Maybe.
Franny and I said, "Get that guy in my shed." And he said, "Oh yeah, he's a for sure shed guy." And I'm like, "I know." So and Franny said he was going to talk to him, but still nothing back.
Not good enough. Be better, eh? Be
Well,
better, right?
the Devils have been playing hard to get this year, pop-up stands
Yeah.
and players.
Yeah, I suppose. Now the girl he did that video for is Ellie. We call her the dancing queen. She sits in my section. And that's just another part that you love to see is that girl adores that team, man. And when the players take a second to like give her a fist bump or wave at her, I mean, look, I'm a 43-year-old man, and if a player like says what's up to me, I'm super stoked, right? But it makes this little girl's day. She gets so excited, she lights up when the players, and it's like a split second thing, just like a hey, how you doing?
No,
No, that's
yeah,
nothing out of the player's day to just kind of
it's
like have a nod
nothing.
up and a wave.
It's
But it
nothing.
really does, even adults, makes us feel real good. When Mosey throws his fist in the air after he picks up my Kit Kat, you know what I mean? It's a pretty great feeling, and it's
I
nice to see.
I agree, and it's and I'm in particular who I have to the shed, and it's like Matt Caruth, when he came back and never could play because he was injured, but I got a picture sent of that he had given a young girl a puck, and the girl was in happy tears from getting a puck from Mac, and it's like
Yeah,
players that are listening to us in the shed, it's not that hard to be nice, and night being nice is nice.
absolutely. And like I say, as a fan who sits in the stands, even just a nod, a too sweet, a fist, a thumbs up, everybody around me, adults or kids, get super excited. They get super pumped. It makes them feel like $1 million, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, Shed family, if you guys want to bug Cody until he comes to the shed, feel free to pester him. I don't care, right? Don't be scared of me.
That's right. Yeah, mission accepted. We got this. I'll get Ellie to do it. Ellie seems to talk to him all the time. I'm gonna train her and say, tell him he needs to get in the shed. Tell him he needs to get in the shed.
We'll get to him through the kids, eh?
That's the way to I think that's gonna be the way in because me as a tubby bald guy with a beard, it's not gonna be as easy to get his attention. But a cute little kid, I think we might be able to get there.
Yeah. Well, we can only dream, right? You got to shoot your shot.
You got to much like I did when I said, "Hey, can I make you a theme song?" Got to shot. You could have said, "No, you're cool. Thanks anyway." I would have gone, "Okay." But you
Um,
took the shot, and now I get to say one of my favorite podcasts has one of my songs on it. So that's pretty exciting.
well, it's as neat as heck. And then for your story about that was when you did provide it to me and I put it at the start of the kids' song. I went to pick up my son and Brady, that go to school together and on my team, and I pick them up for an early practice. And I started playing it, and the kid was I heard him like just at practice later, he was singing the song like it caught him.
That's awesome. That made my day. That's cool to hear. To think some young punk playing hockey in King Cardin or whatever is singing in this little song I made up for the awesome podcast. That's really cool.
No, it is. And well, I guess it is about time to play that song. Thank you so much for making it. And for this to all happen from talking to hockey shed guys and gals in my shed, it's like, well, I got a music maker man. I got my poster maker man that's been with me from the start and has gotten us to where we are. Because if he didn't make all these memorable posters for every guest, I wouldn't have as much to talk about. They wouldn't have a memory to get printed and put up in their shed.
Mm.
And it takes everybody to win. I got Sean Collins, my website maker guy, that's made me swag and has supported me and done all this work and sets up the raffles. Neil Parker and Black Kite Couriers that have helped sponsor me and provided the jerseys I can raffle off. It really does take everybody to win, and people helping me and supporting me, and like even Cardiff with the chocolate before, Sheffield, and now
Yeah.
Manchester, the way they've had my back. It's like fun doesn't happen unless people have fun. And everybody supporting my little obsessive fun thing is
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Well, I'm super proud to even play a small part in it. You know that me writing silly songs in my shed got to be a part of that. That makes me feel pretty cool as well. So that's pretty exciting stuff for me also as well. And I look forward to hearing more future episodes, especially with Donahue, because we're going to make it happen.
That's right.
But no, thanks for having me on, and to be the shameless self promoter. Two Sides to Every Hero is on every single streaming service. I'd love if you would listen to it. There's songs about bullies on there. There's songs about girls. We have a little bit of everything on there. But it's been a blast, man. What a pleasure to actually get to speak to you as well after listening for so long.
No, seriously, it's so much fun getting to know shed guys around the world. And thank you so much for the song and the support. And
My pleasure.
this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Matt the Hitman Lease and Wally.